Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Semester is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I am your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 173. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at. We should be there. Send questions to Dojo Talk Podcast at yahoo.com. Hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei, and you can follow my co-host on Twitter at GC Zeus. And speaking of my co-host, I'm once again joined with Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Nothing. That's it.
Not a lot going on. Normal day.
It's a very warm day, sunny day here in North Jersey. That's it.
All right, we got clouds out here, which normally I would be against, but after the last 2 days of heat, I will embrace these clouds that are giving us some shade.
Yay, shade.
Yeah, because the random 80-degree weather just kind of hit out of nowhere these last 2 days, and I really wasn't ready for it.
Cause it snowed. I don't remember if it was earlier last week or the week before, but it snowed not too long ago here. I don't know if it snowed where you were. And I was like, oh, wait, now it's just hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk.
Right. Yeah, it's weird times, man. Weird times. I don't even really know where to start with this episode. Well, you know what? How should I kick this off? I guess program announcement. This is our next to last episode for the listeners. So it's kind of weird that the last two cards we're talking about are just two random fight night cards in Florida.
I feel like that's highly appropriate.
It probably is. This is what this sport has done to us. We just talk about random fight night cards in Florida during the middle of a pandemic.
I also feel like it's really appropriate that these cards both ended in the worst possible way.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yeah, guys, this is I mean, we've been mentioning it the last couple of weeks, but just to reiterate, these two fight night cards we got this week will be the last two cards we cover, and then we're going to take a break this upcoming Saturday, so there won't be a pod this weekend, and then we'll come back and record the following week on the 24th. Our last episode will be us discussing our top 10 favorite fights of all time. That'll be the closing out of this podcast, and the reason I'm giving us a week break because I need to research. Like my top two fights are pretty much solidified, but everything after that is kind of it's gonna be a battle. See who really makes this list, who tugs at my heartstrings to make this list. But yeah, we're going to record on the 24th, and I'm going to put the episode out on May 27th, which is my birthday. And that'll be it, man. That'll be the closer for this podcast. So I won't do all the sad thank yous. I'll save that for next week. But I do appreciate you guys for listening, who have been sticking with us, all the Twitter folk, the Tumblr folk, especially the Tumblr folk. Y'all have been around since day one. Speaking of the listeners, might as well give some top cities a shout out. Top cities for the week. It's getting weird now because we're not releasing episodes like as frequently. So now like all the different people are making their way up this list. Top listeners for the week. Number 1 was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So shout out to you guys.
Damn.
Number 2, back. Glad you guys are back, man. Cairo, Egypt. What up? Don't know who's out there listening, but I appreciate you. Number 3, Mountain View, California. Number 4, Vista, California. Also on the list randomly. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Riyadh. I can't say this. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Fuck?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, please stand up. So, appreciate you guys. Shout outs to Hanover, Maryland. I see y'all on the list. Shout outs to Owings Mills, Maryland. I see y'all on the list. The UK is down here. Joel, if you're listening, Joel, how do I say this? Bexley Heath? Bexley Heath. BEXLEYHEATH. UK, will you please stand up?
How the fuck did these people used to run the world?
I don't know. The names are so confusing. They're like, yeah, they sound important, whatever. But yeah, well, London's on the list too. I could say London. Shout out to London. They're on the list too. But man, shout outs to the listeners. Appreciate you guys wherever you are in the world, man. It's been a fun 3 years. But we'll do all the reminiscing next episode. I ain't get too sentimental now.
That'll be our top 10 fights and our top 10 Dojo Talk podcast moments.
I've been meaning to go back. I have terrible memory. I can't remember. There was 1 week where you missed a week, and I did an episode with Joey.
I remember that.
And I remember comparing one of the fights to a bank robbery. And I can't remember which fight it was. Because somebody like almost got KO'd and they were running away in the fight. And I was like, this looks like a police chase. I gotta find that episode. I can't remember which one it was.
I'm assuming it was the one I skipped on purpose, which is the Cejudo DualShock card.
Could have been. I gotta go back. That was a good time. That was a good time. So as far as today's episode, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Like this episode has structure, but like it doesn't. The 2 topics I can guarantee we'll hit will be UFC Fight Night Smith versus Teixeira, which will be covered in very limited capacity, as well as Overeem versus Harris. I'll have a little bit more to say about that card.
Just because it was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, memory's better. And if we're being honest, it was the much better card. I don't think it was really close.
Yeah.
It was.
So you're telling me you didn't enjoy Ben Roth over in St. Preux?
I actually have not watched that fight.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Skipped it in real time, and when I went back for the rewatch, I was like, I'm good on that one. Let you guys have that. That's yeah, definitely skipped that one. But we'll talk about those cards, obviously, because they're both full-length cards, and I don't want to be here forever. We can't cover them both in full, so we'll probably just nitpick bits and pieces from both cards as we see fit. Other than that, man, we're kind of shooting from the hip, to be honest. We got a few notes jotted down, but it's going to be a lot of shooting from the hip on this episode. It's weird times we live in, man. It's weird times. So hopefully between now and maybe about 45 minutes from now, when we start getting into the thick of the episode, I'll think of some stuff to talk about. But I guess I didn't really prepare for this, but gotta go through the formalities before we get into everything. Antaku, do you have anything on your mind for this week?
1 second. I saw what I think was a badger, and it was really cool. The
A
end.
badger, like the animal.
Yes.
Where was the badger located?
It was on my running route, which is literally just the main street of the town right next to mine. I say this because I've seen a lot of wildlife that I have not seen pre-quarantine. Like I've never seen whatever that was before, just walking around and everything.
Mm.
But I've also seen a lot of dead birds.
Mm.
And not like just like, you know, like your typical like pigeon. I'm talking about like cardinals and orioles and like at first I was like, okay, maybe it's cats. Like cats now like they're out there and they're just fucking hunting. But it's just like, well, they'd probably take the bird with them, right? To eat or whatever. Or are they just doing it for sport?
I don't know. Mother Nature might just be acting out.
You see, this is what my mind ponders when I don't have to do work or schoolwork. It's just like,
The important life questions.
why are there so many dead birds? Well, that's the other thing. Like dead birds have historically been like, you know, it's like the canary in the coal mine. It's like he's like, okay, birds are dying. What's about to happen? You know?
Yeah, that's a bad sign of things to come.
Exactly. So I'm just like, okay, now I have to be on my toes. This is an omen. It might just specifically be for me, but it's an omen.
Oh man.
Yeah. What's on your mind, Sensei? Hopefully it's more substantive.
I don't know. I haven't really been I haven't been doing a whole lot. I've been kind of just chilling out. I think because my birthday's coming up, I'm trying to like wind down and not overwork myself. I've got a lot of little side projects and stuff I've been doing, but I'm trying to just chill out a little bit for the rest of the month. I worked hard in the beginning of the month. I was working like a madman, and then I don't know if I mentioned on this podcast. I've been working on part 2 of my book. I finished the first draft finally, and my goal was to finish the first draft before my birthday, which I did like 2 weeks ahead of schedule. But
Hey.
now I don't want to look at it. I want to leave it alone for a while before I come back to do edits.
So what you're saying is it's done.
No, it's not done. If you,
See, that's why I can't write. That's why I can't write books because like I would just never go back to it.
yeah, it's hard, man. It's a very long, tedious process, and I don't like editing. I don't enjoy editing at all. It's not fun, but it's like the most necessary part of the process. But I don't enjoy doing it. But I'm gonna put it off for about the end of the month. I've kind of just been gaming. That's really all I've been. Just been like my wind down. Just kind of gaming. I've dusted off my Wii U, getting back in a. I'm not a big RPG guy, but I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which I probably will start streaming at some point. And I picked back up Nier Automata on PS4, so I've been playing that. That I will be streaming. Well, you guys can't hear this recording. We're recording this on Sunday. By the time you hear it, it won't be Sunday, obviously. But I'll be streaming that today. So follow me on Twitch. I have been pretty semi-active on there. I stream at least once or twice a week. So I'll be streaming Nier Automata at some point. Man, I kind of just been chilling, trying to keep myself relaxed. I think I'm slowly coming to the realization that, like, all right, this Corona thing is just like a thing that we just kind of have to live with, and we're just gonna have to find a way to like maneuver through this because it's not really gonna go anywhere. I don't know if what we're doing is the right way. I don't know where you guys are. I know it's different for all of us, but my state, over here in Maryland, we just officially reopened back up on Friday, which means I will still be staying in the house because people are crazy, and I don't want to be out in that first rush of people that think it's cool to just go back out, and then we get hit with the Rona second wave. But I don't know. Yeah, I've just been trying to chill out, trying to relax, get my mind right. Not a whole lot going on. So yeah, I guess we can just get started. I don't really have much. I don't really have much personal to talk about. But so like I said, we're kind of shooting from the hip on this episode, but we got a couple of news and notes and just kind of random things to cover before we get to the fights. I guess real quick. I always don't. I hate starting off news with rest in peace bits, but you know. We're losing a lot of people out here, and I want them to be acknowledged. Rest in peace to Jerry Stiller. Can't remember the day that he passed away, but some of you may know him. He was on Seinfeld. He was on King of Queens. Father of Ben Stiller, if you didn't know. Legendary comedian. He was in Zoolander 2. Man's been around for a while, man. Long time, man. Had a really, really good, successful career. So definitely wanted to give him an acknowledgement. Rest in peace to Jerry Stiller, and rest in peace to Fred Willard, who also passed away. I think that was this weekend, or was it this week? Previous weekend? Can't remember. But Fred Willard, we also lost him over the weekend. Fred Willard, kind of like Jerry Stiller, man. Been around for a long time. Had a very long career. I feel like I remember Fred from a different thing. Like it's kind of funny, like how like when somebody passes and like an actor passes, or even like a musician passes, and like everybody's reflecting, and you realize that we all know people for like different things, like. Fred Willard passed, and everybody I saw was like, "Oh man, that was the guy from Modern Family." But like, I wasn't like a big TV person, so like when I saw Fred Willard pass, I was like, "Oh man, that's the guy from How High." Like, because like when I think of him, that's always my point of reference. But like, I've seen him in a couple of movies, man. He's always been a funny dude, man. Like every role I've ever seen him in. He's always been a funny dude, man. So like when he passed, it hurt. I was hurt, man. He was a funny guy. I'm gonna miss seeing him around. I didn't know he was as old as he was. He was about. No, I'm bad with specifics. He was in his 80s, I want to say. But yeah, man. I love How High is one of those movies that to me is funny every time I watch it. I've seen it like 1,000 times, and it's still funny to me every time I watch it. So now when I watch it, I'm like, man, that guy's he's not here anymore. But rest in peace to both of those gentlemen, man. Had very long, successful careers. Gave people a lot of laughter. Appreciated their work. Definitely appreciated their work. So rest in peace to Fred Willard and Jerry Stiller. And that's it for the sad news. So I guess the fight MMA related news. I don't know. I feel like I should let you handle these. I'm going to bring that up. I think we're going to have a lot of random questions probably after we talk about fights. I kind of want to talk about this whole just feeling disconnected from the sports world. But I'll save that for later. But you want to talk about Khabib's pops?
Yeah, so I don't even know if we mentioned it last time. During the Ferguson Gaethje card. Khabib's pops, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, was admitted to the hospital not too long ago with a well, I guess it'd be a couple weeks ago at this point, with pneumonia and flu-like symptoms. And it came out last week that he was put into a medically induced coma, and it's been confirmed since that. Well, he's I should point out he's gotten up since the coma. But he's still in critical condition. So give him your thoughts and prayers. But apparently Abdulmanap does have COVID-19, novel coronavirus. It's the thing that brought on his heart attack. Is just the reason they had to put him in the coma. Was it vice versa? I cannot remember. And I got rid of the article in favor of what you call it. But here it is.
According to several reports, suffered a heart attack shortly after it was confirmed that he had contracted 2019 novel coronavirus. The 57-year-old who previously underwent heart surgery in 2019 initially fell ill in the hometown of Makhachkala, Dagestan, and was convinced by family members to visit a doctor, who later diagnosed him with pneumonia. Despite medical advice and prescriptions, Abdulmanap reportedly continued to go about his routine and refused to undergo testing for coronavirus. As his condition worsened, he was transported to a military hospital in Moscow. He then suffered a heart attack on May 3rd, underwent heart surgery, and placed in a medically induced coma. While the Nurmagomedov family patriarch has since woken up from his coma, he is still reportedly unable to speak and remains in critical condition. So, yeah. So,
maybe don't get your what you call it. I was gonna say hopes, but maybe don't openly campaign for Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov anytime soon, as Khabib is and his family is worrying about more serious issues like his father.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah.
But knowing MMA fans, they do not care.
No. we need Khabib versus Gaethje by July. But
yeah.
Nah, man. Well wishes to him, man. It's rough out here, man. It is rough out here. Hate to hear news like that. That's scary. Scary waking up and trying to like live somewhat of a normal life, knowing that like you're probably, well, like you said, out of the coma now, but still like in critical condition. Just trying to hang on as best he can. So yeah, that definitely thoughts and prayers to Khabib and his family. Let's get to some spice. Let's get to some I don't say happy news, but something not so somber. Let's talk about this Jones and Ngannou call out, which may end up materializing to absolutely nothing, but it'd be something fun to just kind of talk about, theorize. So I didn't dig too far into it. The most I got into it was I saw a Twitter post where they were showing the picture of Ngannou flailing at one Jairzinho Rosenstruck before he put him in a coma. I shouldn't have said that. That was a terrible follow-up. But he y'all saw what he did to Jairzinho. Y'all saw what happened. And Jones was talking about like his form of the punch, and he was nitpicking at him. He was kind of poking at him a little bit, like.
It should be noted that John Jones also has terrible punching.
But it just he was poking a little fun at, like, I can beat this guy. Like, all he's got, the gist of it was like all he's got is power, but like that's what's that? That was what I took kind of from their banner. So they had a little brief back and forth exchange, which just kind of brings up the theoretical of if it were to happen, and I'm not getting my hopes up. This will be one of those fights I place into the category of I'll believe it when I see it, but just to have a little bit of fun, if John Jones were potentially to fight at heavyweight and step in against one Francis Ngannou, how do you think this plays out?
Francis Ngannou knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like so like I said, the problem I have with people who think like because Stipe exposed Ngannou that like that all it really takes is somebody who is quote unquote skilled to beat him. But Stipe has a particular set of skills that are unique to him in both the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions, and that on top of being one very fast with his hands and very powerful, he's also very I don't want to use the word fluid, but he has an understanding of moving his feet while he boxes that basically no other heavyweight or light heavyweight does, including people like Daniel Cormier and Alexander Gustafsson. And the reason he was able to take Ngannou down at all is because he outboxed him. If you look at the early shots in that fight, Stipe was only Stipe got stuffed a couple of times before he was just like, okay, I gotta actually box with this guy if I want any shot of like beating him, and he was out feinting him. He was changing levels on him. He'd fake low, get him to drop his hands, and then come over the top, or vice versa. And that's what opened up the takedowns and eventually wore Ngannou out. Mind you, Ngannou still fucking tagged him in like the 4th round after being exhausted. And he clearly hurt Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
But like, well, so like, John Jones talks about like Stipe's form, Francis's form. What is going to stop when Jones decides he wants to kick from the outside, which is all he really does nowadays? What's going to stop Ngannou from doing what he did to Jazeer Rosenstruck to John Jones? I mean, John Jones is quicker, but he also doesn't freaking angle off. He moves backwards in straight lines. He runs backwards straight into the cage. He did it against Dominic Reyes. He did it against DC a whole bunch in their rematch when DC just decided to say, fuck it, I'm going to come forward and just whatever happens, happens.
And as we've seen, Ngannou is not the guy. I mean, you shouldn't turn and run from anybody. Right. We've seen that time and again how bad, see Andrew Kawani versus, what was old boy's name? What's the guy? Hordecki? Yeah. See that as a point of reference. But yeah, you should never turn and run from anybody. But against Ngannou, like, bro, that's...
Even if JDS turned his back to him.
Yeah. And it's like, even though he might flail and miss like the first 3, but bro, the man covered distance, like he's so big, like he's gonna get in there eventually. You might get past the first couple.
That's the other thing. Like, I don't know what Jones' like leg reach is, but Ngannou has basically the same reach that he does, like with his hands. Hold up. Let's see. Ngannou has a 83-inch reach. I mean, do you think Jones's best defense is basically bridging? Like, so Jones has like a 1.5 inch reach advantage on him. Do you think that thing he likes to do where he sticks his arm out and tries to like...
France don't care about that.
What's going to stop Ngannou from just coming right over the top of that?
I'm about to say, bro, he is going to wing an overhand right over that hand, and he's going to try to kill you. And it's not going to stop. And I don't envision Jones being able to, like, cause enough damage to where, like, he could really slow Francis down like that. Like,
I mean, Jones could just kick at Francis's lead leg and try to take him out the game that way. But like, we've seen people like that strategy is not. It only works anymore because it's at light heavyweight, and it really doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? But like, what's to stop Ngannou from just throwing something over that and knocking Jones out that way? Like, I'm not saying Jones stands no chance, but it's just like, he's John Jones. He's arguably the greatest fighter ever. But like, he has not gotten better.
And his fights have been getting closer and closer and closer. And like, bro, this ain't the guy you wanna. For all he may lack in like technical proficiency, like he Jones's trajectory of how close his fights have been getting, and how people are starting to have like more moments against him. And Ngannou don't need moments, plural. He just need one. Like he
And
just need
as we just saw, he is more than willing to just fucking force it.
right. And to be honest, he can kind of force the issue against Jones because, albeit, all right, yeah, we haven't seen Jones at heavyweight, but do we really see Jones packing on so much power that he could like one shot stop Ngannou? Like,
No.
so not only can I plot forward, I ain't gonna say I have to have complete disregard for what you're gonna throw back at me, but at the same time, I'm kind of not worried. Like, you're not known to put people to sleep. Like,
You ate everything Stipe threw at him. And he was tired. He got taken down, but he was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, he got, you know, he slowed down, obviously, considerably from the second round on, but he kept taking the damage, kept getting back up, kept moving forward. Like DC and Jones, like I don't see that fight going well for either one of them, just because both of them rely so heavily on just being able to take damage. Like,
I don't know, Jones. This might not be the
so
might not be the one.
But at the same time, I don't think Jones really wants to fight so much as he just wants like his name to be out there. He wants to be the center of attention.
I don't know. He's giving himself some options.
I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, you can build some Ngannou hype now. You got that little trash talk going. If you want to do the rematch with Reyes, you can do that.
I mean, Jones has learned from Conor that you got to build a narrative with everybody. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, he's giving himself options. So I'm not mad at it.
But we're probably not going to get the fight regardless. So there was talks about it at the presser last night for after I already forgot the main event. Oh my god, Harris Overeem. And you know, Dana White in typical Dana White fashion, where he just throws both his fighters under the bus because he doesn't want to pay either one of them the amount of money they would probably absolutely deserve if the fight got made. Dana White, I don't know if Jones and Ngannou really want to fight. UFC President Dana White is skeptical about talks between Jones and Ngannou fighting each other. Let me tell you this, and I'm not saying this in case is the case of the two. You see a lot of talk online or whatever it might be. Actually making fights is a whole nother ball game. So, like, I think that's what it comes down to. Like, Ngannou has historically been a tough person to deal with, according to Dana White, which I don't believe for a second. I think Ngannou just thought he was worth more than Dana White thinks he's worth. And, you know, John Jones is John Jones. He's trying to make up about $50 million he's lost by, like, losing, like, 3 years of his career due to suspension. So, like, I can completely see, like, I can completely see both of them being like, yeah, no, this is the money fight for me right now. And Dana White being like, yeah, no, I'm not paying either one of you motherfuckers anything. You're going to get your $200,000 in Ngannou, and you're going to fucking like it. You know what I mean?
And like I'm trying to think of it from like Dana's perspective. Like, you probably don't want Jones to lose.
I mean, if you want Jones to lose, you probably want him to lose to a light heavyweight so you can book that rematch. I get that.
You don't want him to, because if he loses to Ngannou, it's not going to be he lost a hard fought decision. He died.
If you're a promoter, you're like, oh, well, you know what? John Jones is currently the light heavyweight champion. If he wants to go up and fight for the heavyweight title, you know, that we can talk about that. But right now, there are contenders. He has a rematch with Dominic Reyes. He has Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira won earlier this week. You tried to build. You know what I mean? You don't deconstruct it. You're like, oh, no, these guys are just bluffing. Fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then it's like, if you go to heavyweight, it's like, are you really even going to stay there? Like,
yeah.
Probably would be kind of like a one-off.
I don't think John Jones wants to fight a heavyweight. I really don't. I think if he wanted to, he would by now. I think the only reason he wanted the Brock Lesnar fight was because he thought he could beat Lesnar. Like, yeah, he thought that would be like a pretty simple fight for him, and it probably would be, to be honest. Especially the Lesnar that fought Mark Hunt. But I don't think he actually wants to get in there and mix it up with like Stipe and like Francis Ngannou. Not because he doesn't think he can win, just because like to him it's probably just a fucking hassle. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Jones is in it for the challenge anymore. Like this is purely a money making endeavor for him.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think if he would have done it, he could have done it by now. Like we could have. I don't know. Yeah, he could have done it, and I feel like a couple years ago probably would have been. If he would have done it years ago, it would have made more sense. I feel like back when like pre-Dominic Reyes, like I think Jan was still around, but he wasn't like who he was now. Back when we really were kind of looking around like, all right, man, who's actually gonna? Is anybody gonna beat this guy? Because DC done tried, and we thought he might have been the guy, but he wasn't. Like back then, it would have made more sense to go to heavyweight when light heavyweight really was just kind of it was this wasteland.
And still a wasteland, but now it has more like travelers. More
Yeah. Couple more people that came through on the path, and they're actually like halfway decent. It's like you kind of got to take them serious. So yeah, like a few years ago would have been the time for him to make the heavyweight jump. But I don't know. We'll see, man. Crazier things have happened. I'm not holding my breath on this fight, and if it does happen, like I think Jones has the skill to win because he's still a really good, like you said, he's still one of the best fighters ever. I just don't. I think some of the stuff that he gets away with at 205 might get him killed at heavyweight. Because I mean, let's be honest, even if he goes to heavyweight, even if he packs on muscle, he's still going to be small compared to a lot of these guys that he's fighting.
It's not even the small thing. It's just like you have to be able to hit in this division.
Yeah, like his style is, I don't know, like because he's not like a knockout guy. I don't know how much his style really is gonna translate to heavyweight unless he starts taking dudes down and maybe tries to win that way. Cause playing these little kickboxing matches, that heavyweight, nah, bruh. Somebody's gonna hit you with a just one of them looping right hooks, and it's gonna be a wrap. It's yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much his style really translates to heavyweight. I think matchups for him would be a key for him having success at heavyweight. But I don't know. We'll see. It's something fun to just kind of theorize about. But they've blown smoke in the air. We'll see if it actually amounts to anything. So that was that. And hypothetical Ngannou versus Jones. I guess before we get to the card, I'll let you cover this because I didn't really look into it. But we talked about it pre-recording. Mr. Jason Herzog and his social media apology.
Yeah. So if we'll like you said, we'll talk about it the actual fight in a second. But if you guys saw Glover Teixeira versus Anthony Smith on Wednesday, May 13th. The last couple of rounds were pretty hard to watch. It was not a entertaining beatdown, so to say, so much as it was a another reminder that MMA has a corner culture problem. Glover Teixeira 10-8'd Anthony Smith across the last two rounds, literally beating the teeth out of the man. It came out after the fight that Anthony Smith has false teeth and that Glover Teixeira beat the real teeth that he still has left in his mouth out of his face. It was pretty clear partway through the fourth Probably partway through the third, to be honest with you, that Anthony Smith literally had nothing left in the gas tank. The only thing keeping him going was his toughness. He did not want to be in there. And the fight continued all the way up into the fifth round when Glover was finally able to get him out of there in the ring, in the cage. I'm sorry. And Jason Herzog had we'll talk about the corner's responsibility in a little bit. Jason Herzog, who was the referee of that fight and let it continue into the fifth round, had a statement that he put out, and a really good one that I hope is actually accurate for the future. And I'll just read it in its entirety right now. This sport of MMA is beautiful and it's pure, and an incredible teacher. Some lessons are more harsh than others. I've seen a lot of opinions about what should have happened, who was at fault, but let me be clear, there's only one person to blame, me. I am responsible for each fighter I am entrusted to oversee. I will take this experience, make the necessary changes, and get better. And I think Joey had a very, I don't know if you saw it, I think Joey had a very good take about this whole thing on Tumblr after the fight. And it was that this lack of a stoppage or this late stoppage was probably a direct result of what happened on Saturday with Dominic Cruz and Henry Cejudo. There's no way it isn't. Like, all these referees are friends and they talk to one another and they see the response that each other gets. And having to see Keith Richardson, one of the best referees in MMA. And now I'm just wondering if I got his name wrong, because I don't think
Peterson.
it's Keith. Huh? Peterson. Yeah. Peterson. Keith Peterson is one of the best refs in MMA, as evidenced by the fact I don't remember his fucking name, which means he keeps his name out of controversies. He's one of the most consistent, and to see him get that type of dirt thrown in his name, a bunch of really out there allegations thrown against him. Also, so who gives a fuck if he was smelled like cigarettes? It just occurred to me. So he smokes between breaks. Who gives a fuck?
Man is stressed out.
It's a very high pressure job. But if you're Jason Herzog and you see that, and we saw again last night, I think, well, with Overeem Harris, but we'll get to that too. You give fighters more leeway than you might have if there was no controversy, 8 days earlier. I mean, it's definitely been a high stress week for all of these guys. You're down in Jacksonville. A lot of them are used to just traveling around between shows. One day you'll see Herb Dean refereeing a UFC event, and 2 days later, on Sunday, he'll be in Russia. Gearing up to fucking referee the title fight of an ACA title fight. And I'm sure this week has been incredibly stressful for them, having to worry about okay, what do I do when I'm done here? Do I have to self quarantine? Do I just immediately go home? This, that, and the third. It's been all these things add up on top of one another, and like Herzog said, you still have to take some of the blame. You're dealing with people's lives and their quality of life. But it was good to see him, do some self reflection. Because unlike Peterson, that late of a stoppage was horrendous. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate his apology. I guess for me, I'm always for somebody owning up to a mistake that they thought they made. I guess for me in that situation, I probably shouldn't expect it from the cornerman, but I always just I feel like it's more of, because your fighter, do you? I don't know.
But you also get the situations where guys think I know my guy. He's going to come back from this. He's going to be stronger.
Yeah, that is true.
And here's the thing with Anthony Smith. A lot of Anthony Smith's best wins have come after he's gotten the absolute shit kicked out of him.
But I feel like in those, and I can't remember all of them, but
there
I
were
remember
there were guys who like historically just like fall apart after the first round too. Like
not even just that, but like I don't know. A lot of times you can. I think we talked about this in what was that one fight? I was about, but not Cordelia. Who did Nunes fight and like pummeled? Was it Pennington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you can just look at body language and tell like, oh no, he's got to get out of there. Like in the beginning of like well, I don't want to jump into but I'll just bring it up real quick before we actually get into that fight. But there was a point in like the 5th round where like, bro, he just backed up to the cage. Like he just clearly didn't want any parts of that. And yeah, I guess it does kind of fall both on the ref. Like if you're the ref and you kind of see that, like dude's just kind of like turtling up after he's taken like the beating that he has, then yeah, you probably could just wave this off. He kind of don't. But I'm also looking at the cornerman real funny. Like, all right, you might know your guy's known for making comebacks, but his body language is clearly showing you that the comeback ain't happening this time, bro. He don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the conversations because with the lack of fans, we've been able to clearly hear corner exchanges and fighters start talking to each other inside of the octagon. And I think that's the one thing I've actually really enjoyed about not having fans. I actually am really enjoying like being able to clearly hear cornermen communicate, and like these just little things that we might not have heard as clear before. When you normally just have all the crowd noise filling the extra space. But yeah, the comeback wasn't happening in that one, bro. It wasn't there. But no, I hope, and I'm pessimistic about this, but you would like to hope, Herzog throws out this apology. A referee's job it's almost a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. But you would like to hope that hopefully we all can sit back and look at this, and it's going to happen again, but you would just like to see it not be so frequent. Like, I don't know, but it's hard, man. It's really, I can't imagine like in the moment trying to process something like that, like while it's happening. Probably not the easiest thing to do, but I don't know. I just feel like there are certain signs, and just if a dude just starts turtling up, I feel like at that point I don't even care if he's not getting hit, bro. Get him out of there. Like just if somebody starts walking you down, and your first thought is, yeah, I'm gonna just kind of put my hands up and just kind of, yeah, no, we gotta get you out of here, man. You don't want any parts of this, clearly. But I don't know. But good on Herzog for owning up. And hopefully we see some improvements. From referees and cornermen alike. So that was pretty much it for the news. So I guess we can just move on to the fight, which probably is the perfect segue because we're going to talk about the fight that we just referenced anyway. Moving on. We had 2 cards this week, so like I said, we're going to briefly cover kind of both of them. We're just going to kind of nitpick anything that kind of stood out to us from these cards, which I ain't going to lie to you guys, for the Teixeira vs. Smith. Wasn't a whole lot. not a lot to talk about, but got to cover it. So the first fight night card we got this week was UFC Fight Night Jacksonville, which was headlined by Glover Teixeira versus Anthony Smith. And I guess, like I said, we just kind of just talked about this with the Jason Herzog, but I guess we can do a little bit of more of a deep dive. So I actually just rewatched this fight this morning because I hadn't watched it since the first time it happened. I thought Smith, he started off good. He set a pretty good pace. He was consistently in Glover's face, throwing jabs, throwing 1-2s, just really kind of putting pressure on Glover. He was really hitting him with some hard shots. He was unloading pretty hard. He was putting a lot of sting into his shots pretty early. But Glover, man, toughest old man to ever live. He was taking the punishment. He was still showing that after the first couple rounds, like, yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not really going anywhere. I think it took a little time for Glover to kind of get his timing down, get everything kind of set in order. And then once it happened, and it started at the tail end of the second when he rocked him.
I mean, like that's the sequence where Glover Teixeira, 40-year-old Glover Teixeira, renowned boxer, wrestler, grappler dude, hits Anthony Smith, who is just like sitting up against the cage, using it to stand up, with a spinning back kick.
Bro, Glover started getting loose out there, man.
That might have been the first spinning back kick Glover Teixeira's ever thrown.
Probably. It has to be.
Like, I'm talking about in training, too.
Like, bro, where did you Tool said you pull that out of, buddy? But, nah, man, it seemed like that was the beginning of the end. Like, he got that last flurry at the end of the second, and it just felt like after that moment, the tide of the fight was just starting to turn. You know, Smith was trying to keep that pace up, but you could just kind of tell, like, he was starting to get a little winded, starting to breathe a little hard. And next thing you know, Glover's landing those hooks, those uppercuts, man. But he uppercutted Smith so many times in this fight. And it just started to become apparent, like, oh, snap, Glover's about to kick another one of you young guys off the lawn. Like, he's about had it up to here with y'all thinking y'all gonna come on his lawn and disrespect him. And yeah, man, Smith starts getting winded. Glover starts landing these hooks. He starts landing these uppercuts. He's putting his hands together. And, you know, he's still taking some shots, but he's showing kind of like that grit that we've seen from him in these last couple of fights. Where I don't know what it is, but at 40 years old, this man is still fighting like he's just really got something to prove out there. And like you said, we mentioned it earlier, he just starts to put it on Smith, man. He really starts to hurt this dude. I think he dropped him in the third, had him on the ground, beat him up for a little bit. Probably gave him a little time to rest. Thought he was going to pummel him a little more, but after a while, it got hard to watch. Like, it went from, oh, snap, Glover's like, he's about to win. And then the beating got to the point where it's like, oh, okay, we probably should, like, I give Smith them letting him go after the third, because that was like when he first took some real, like, significant damage. But it's like, all right, see if he can, you know, you can give him a chance to see if he can come back from that. It's not over yet. He's getting beat up, but it's not over. Fourth round, it was bad. It was, it wasn't looking good. We mentioned, you know, no crowd, so you can kind of hear a lot of the banter going back and forth. I don't remember exactly what round it was, but there was literally a point where Glover, like, apologized for beating him up.
I think that was the third.
Like, he was like they were on the ground. He was kind of like hovering over Smith's back, like punching him, and then he kind of stops. No, not stops, but he's kind of like, I'm sorry, this is like, you know, it's a part of the business. And Smith was like, yeah, I know, it is what it is. And it was kind of at that point where you realize, like, oh, snap, we probably should get Smith out of there. Like, when a dude is beating you up and he is apologizing, and this is like a sincere, like, I don't think he was being like condescending or like, you know, being like real cocky. I think he really was concerned, like, I'm really kind of beating this man up and it's kind of bad and it doesn't seem like they're going to stop it. And Smith's just kind of like, yeah, it's just, you know, this is what we get paid to do.
This is my fate now.
Yeah. And at that moment is when it's like, okay, I love Glover, man. I root for Glover in like every fight. You know, I want him to kick all the young people off the lawn. But it just got hard to watch. Like, all right, man, he's really beating this guy's face in. like I said, man, those uppercuts, man. He was uppercutting Smith's life away, and it got brutal. It got real brutal in there. What round did the teeth come out? Because I missed that in real time.
I want to say that was the 4th round.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that was around when things really, like, it took a left turn in the 3rd, but it took a real, like, spiral in the 4th.
It was like a 10-7 round.
Yeah. That 4th round was... in the midst of the brutality, though, it's I don't feel bad for saying, like, I'm trying to pull a positive. Because I don't want to see any, like, I know it's a fight. People are going to get hurt. But, like, I don't like seeing people... It's one thing to get, like, pummeled, but you're still, like, fighting back and, like, making it like a war. So, like, I don't feel as bad because, like, all right, he still got, like, some fight left in him. But, like, in this one, it kind of looked like he just... Man, like, Smith was just taking it. And it was just, like, I get it, man. Warrior, go out on the shield. But I'm like, bro, I don't want to see you go through this. This is, I wouldn't wish this on nobody. I don't know. What was your, any like technical takedowns? I thought brutality aside, I thought Glover looked, once he got going, man, he was looking pretty sharp, man. He looked for a 40-year-old, you can't ask for much better.
I mean, when Glover has somebody who will literally stand directly in front of him, he weathers the early storm and tends to. That's the one thing about Glover. Like, he has tremendous like cardio, especially for like a 40-year-old man. I think it was Jordan Breen who mentioned this on on Twitter after the fight. But like, one thing people don't realize about Glover Teixeira is that he spent most of like his early life in like the most rural parts of Brazil, where all there was for him to do was like to just fucking do farm work. So he has that like Jessica Andrade like strength. Yeah, like that Brazilian farm person strength that like him and like Jessica Andrade have, you know what I mean? Where it's just like they're strong and they can be strong for like 25 minutes if they need to be. Mm-hmm. So so when like Glover's able to actually put his hands on you, he is a physically imposing person. And like at a certain point, Anthony Smith stopped moving his feet, and Glover just was able to like, draw. Like there was the sequence that ended up getting Smith dropped in the 3rd round was him trying to grab onto like Glover and like have him in like a collar tie or something, and Glover was just like no, and it proceeded to hit him with a series of uppercuts and an overhand right. It's just like. You can't do shit against that, man. Like, he's ridiculously strong. We know for a fact that he's a fantastic grappler. Yeah, he's not the deepest wrestler in the world, but like he is a very good fundamental 205 oriented takedown game.
For 205, he's extremely well rounded.
Yes. Like the thing is with like Anthony Smith, I never have like a technical breakdown. Anthony Smith, he has a journeyman's game. And it's the type where he could beat somebody like Alexander Gustafsson or who's the other dude he beat? Volkan Oezdemir. But he could also just straight up go out there and lose to like somebody like Johnny Walker. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's kind of like it's not exactly like it. Michael Johnson kind of has like the opposite problem, where it's like he's so good at what he does, but like what he does is so limited that like he beats Dustin Poirier and loses to freaking Thiago Moises. But like Smith has the other problem where he's kind of okay at everything and he fights really hard, but like if you're really good at something at certain parts of the game, like he just fucking beats you. Like you could just fucking beat him like senseless, and that's what Glover did. Like I don't have a lot of like technical things to say because like half this fight was just Glover doing whatever he felt like, and it's still not being enough for the referee to hop in there or for Smith's corner to go in there and be like, we got to protect your quality of life. It's just like dude, you're gonna die for this extra $20,000 or whatever his win bonus is. I have no idea how much Anthony Smith is paid. I
I've
assume
got
it's
they put somebody put the payouts out. I don't have it up though.
I'm gonna check really quick, but like whatever it wasn't worth that.
No. Mm-mm.
Like who was the other fight that happened this week that was just like, dude, like you don't get paid enough to do this. I think it was the Elkins fight. Or I was like, there's no way they pay you enough to go out there and do this.
At this point, Elkins I think he just accepts it.
I think he's just like, I gotta.
But even in the Elkins fight, like he was at least still fighting back.
Yeah.
Like this fight was like, geez, man, this fourth round. I'm looking at everybody like we're all watching the same thing, right? Like, is somebody gonna?
No.
Like, bro, we're all seeing this man get pummeled. He lost his teeth. Like, what else do you want from him? Like, get this man out of there. He already had, like, a hard month, man. They tried to rob his house. Whenever that happened, like, give this man a break. Jesus Christ.
They really wanted to give that. He really wanted that John Jones rematch, too.
Well, good luck on that one.
I mean, he can still get it. Let's be real.
Let's be real. Heavyweight before that. I don't know. But, yeah, there's not really much else to say other than Glover Teixeira is a fantastic 40-year-old fighter. The man can take some punishment. Still really highly skilled. Still really well-rounded. Still really dangerous. He is not one of these old guys that you're about to just go in and have an easy out against. You might tag him a couple times, but that don't mean nothing. He ain't done. He's going to get his shots. And when he gets his, you better be able to withstand. Because if not, good luck to you. It really sucks that he didn't get to the UFC in his younger days. Because I remember, didn't he have like visa issues or something like that back in the day?
So the thing is, like, I guess he did, but he lived in Connecticut. So like he lived here, but he couldn't fight here, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But we probably were robbed of a lot of his best years. It would have been fun to see him in the UFC, maybe even if he was only like 30. I forgot, man, by the time he got to the UFC, that man had to have been like 35 already or something.
He was like 33.
I'm just imagining, like, if we could have had Glover when he was like 28.
Hold on, let me. So he is exactly 40 right now, right? He got to the UFC in 2014, so he would have been like 36 or 34.
Yeah, like, and that's normally when you start to. You're still good, but the downslide is you're kind of like evening out. You're either on your downslide or like you're.
I thought he got there at 31. God, because he got there in 2012.
Even still, man.
Well, I mean, like at that point, he had 20 career fights, and the way that Glover fights, he wears a lot of it on his face.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of those fights weren't real clean cut. Like he was, he was probably taking some damage or dishing out. Like it was probably had some rough ones. It would have been fun to have Glover in that era, like when Machida and Shogun and all those guys were still kind of, young and nimble.
Yeah.
Like he would have been really fun to watch if we just could have thrown him in that mix just to see like what would have happened. But because he's got a lot of good quality wins. Yeah, I think what if about him a lot. But man, I appreciate what we have gotten. Shout out to Glover Teixeira. Got the TKO over Anthony Smith. Like I said, we're not really going to cover this card in whole. I'll read the results, and if you have any quick thoughts, we can talk about it for like a couple seconds. Other than that, we can just keep it moving. But co-main event, a fight I did not watch, and I probably will not go back to watch. But Ben Rothwell and Ovin St. Preux fought at heavyweight.
All I'll say about this one is abolish 205. Just have all the 205ers fight at fucking the heavyweight, because the OSP could have easily won this fight. Ilir Latifi easily could have won the fucking Derek Lewis fight. Like, there's no reason for that division to exist anymore. It's already been proven that these guys can compete a division up.
Well, Ben Rothwell got a split decision over OSP. I didn't see it, so I can't talk about it.
It was a bad fight. It was a
Yeah,
very, very bad fight.
It sounds like it.
It was also a fight that if OSP was like 2 years younger, he probably would have knocked Ben Rothwell out. But
When I saw this was the co-main event, I was like, ew. That is a...
Ovince St. Preux came in at 240.5 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
And his corner after the fight was like, yeah, no, we're gonna go back to 205 eventually. We don't know when. But like OSP's also like 37. So like,
bro, just stay at heavyweight, man. Just whatever.
Just stay and
Just
fight
stay there.
the Ben Rothwells of the division. Like, come on.
Yeah. You'll get a win over one of them eventually. Yeah, but that was that fight. Drew Dober, TKO Alex Hernandez. Shout out to Drew Dober, man. He's been on a nice little roll lately.
6 of his last 7, man.
Yeah, man. And it's been like impressive wins over like really solid competition. And I went and watched this fight this morning because I didn't get a chance to watch it in real time live. But nah, man, Dober's been looking good, man. Dober's putting on a lot of fun fights. Definitely somebody to watch out for at lightweight. A fight I do need to rewatch that I did not watch yet. Ricky Simone and Ray Borg. Simone won via split decision. I got to go back and watch that one. That was actually a fight I was looking forward to. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
So I feel like I have to do this disclosure every time my man referees a fight. But so the fight was pretty obviously like there's no way to score. There was no way to score for Ray Borg. But one of the judges gave him a 29-28 anyway. And do you know who that is? Do you know the judge's name, Sensei?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so the judge's name is David Torelli. And if you're from my neck of the woods, you might know him as Sensei Torelli, as he's a former TSK instructor and fighter. And he was my kickboxing / karate / jiu-jitsu trainer / coach / sensei when I was like 10 years old. And he is a notoriously god-awful judge.
Well, at least the right guy still won in the end.
We're gonna see him again because I think he was alongside. He had some of the judging duties on Saturday as well. So a couple of those contentious decisions.
Yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah, yuck. A fight I did watch. Andrei Arlovski defeated Felipe Lins via unanimous decision. I actually went to sleep right after that fight. I stayed up because I actually, it was on a Wednesday, so I had to work the next morning. I couldn't stay up and watch all this. But I watched that fight. I was like, all right, as long as Arlovski wins, I can go to sleep and I'll be okay. And he won. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest fight. A little heavyweight kickboxing match, but hey, man, he got the win. I was happy, and that was all that mattered. So, shout out to Andrei Arlovski, man. That's my guy. He won via unanimous decision. I don't want to talk about this fight a lot, but we got to talk about it like kind of a little bit.
It was...
Jesus Christ, man.
The only way this Michael Johnson fight could have been more Michael Johnson is if he had won the first 4 minutes of the fight, and at the 4:01 mark, he just got heel hooked or foot locked. This was him speed running one of his own fights. It was amazing.
God.
He beat the crap out of Thiago Moises. To the point where Moises was literally not throwing anything back by the end of the first round. Comes out, immediately gets shot on in the second round. Does a good job of defending the takedown, puts the leg up, tries to create the bridge. But Moises drops down into guard, locks up a straight foot lock, and gets the tap 25 seconds into the second round.
Bruh, it is if that is not a Michael Johnson fight, I don't. Oh my God. He is just
so much talent.
And it sucked because we didn't really want the idea of him going to featherweight, and he finally comes back up to lightweight, and this is what happens. And it's like, bro, you beat Dustin Poirier. You knocked him out.
Bro, you beat Tony Ferguson.
Ferguson!
Barboza.
And this was Ferguson while he was like...
This is before the run.
This was before.
But he was also the only loss in the UFC Tony's ever had.
Right.
Prior to...
And that was Barboza when Barboza was still, like, scary.
Yeah.
Like, that was a prime Barboza. And it's like, how do you lose? And there's no disrespect to Thiago, but it's like, bro, like, this shouldn't have happened. But it's a Michael Johnson fight. And in his fights, for whatever reason, like, logic just doesn't apply. Like,
so I found, I was looking through his record before the fight, and it occurred to me that he had beaten Tony Ferguson and then lost to Reza Madadi and Miles Jury in the same year.
Like Miles Jury ain't even in the UFC no more. Donald Cerrone kicked that man into another organization. When's the last time you heard of Reza? Where's Reza Madadi?
Is he back in jail?
Man. I don't know.
I mean, we're not. Wait. Oh, he's in AC. Oh, he retired. I was gonna say he's in ACB, but he went there, lost a few, and then retired.
God, man, Michael Johnson, bro. I forgot. Somebody had posted this. Not Andreas Hill. It's the other guy who does this podcast, but no, everybody came to the same conclusion. Like, Michael Johnson just has one of the weirdest careers. Like, whenever he retires and we look back at his career, I'm not really gonna, like...
How do you explain him?
Yeah, like, he is an enigma.
I think he's, like, the best example of how MMA, like, styles make fights. Like, Dustin Poirier is not a takedown guy. He's a pocket boxer, basically. And that's Michael Johnson's, like, one distinct skill set. Is that he's really good in the pocket boxing. And then he knocks him out. Also that he has, like, ridiculous, power.
Power and speed. Like, his hands are fast, man.
And, like, Tony Ferguson's, especially earlier in his career, was a dude who could get, like, really drawn into those, like, mid-range boxing matches. And Michael Johnson could capitalize on that. Like, the people who Johnson beats are people who give him the type of fight he wants. Weirdly enough, not Edson Barboza, who Johnson fought against type to beat, which was the weirdest thing. Because if you remember that fight, Johnson pressured the crap out of Barboza. Like, refused to give him any room to breathe. And that's not typically Johnson's game. He's much more of an open space fighter.
He saw them leg kicks. He was like, nope.
Exactly.
Not doing this one, buddy.
It's so, like, his career arc is so weird, man. Like, it's not weird to see him lose to, like, Beneil Dariush or even Nate Diaz and Khabib and Justin. But it is weird to see him lose to Darren Elkins and, like, Josh Emmett and Stevie Ray.
Yeah, like, it's... his losses are just, they are puzzling. Like...
But, like, if you're trying to explain how, like, in MMA styles make fights, I think Johnson's, like, a really good example of that.
Whew. Boy. What a career.
I mean, at least it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's one thing. A Michael Johnson fight will never be born, for better or worse.
For all
something's gonna happen.
Types of reasons.
Right. Something's gonna happen. It might be great and spectacular, or it might be utterly terrible. But it is going to be entertaining nonetheless. But shout out to Thiago Moise. He realized he was getting lit up on the feet in the first round. Said, nah, we not doing that second round. Went straight for the takedown. Did what he had to do. That is what it is.
I didn't realize he had lost so many times in the UFC. He's lost 3 fights already. He's actually only 2-3. That's wild. I mean, I didn't have, like, high expectations for him. I've been following him, obviously, ever since he fucking pulled off that helicopter armbar against, what was it, Dave Castillo in RFA. But, like, like if his game is always going to be like, oh, I have to be like on my back doing submissions, like it's not. My thought process was it's not going to be that great. But it's cool to see him get a win here.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. And a quick run through of the prelims. Shajar Eubanks defeated Sarah Moras via unanimous decision. Omar Morales and Gabriel Benitez beat the life out of each other. Omar Morales won that fight via unanimous decision. Who was the one that got their leg split? That was nasty. With a shin.
I want to say that was Benitez.
Bro, that is one of the. I was trying to avoid that, like that video, and then my friend sent it to me. I was like, oh, I didn't know what it was when he sent it to me, and I clicked on it. Bro, his leg was like open.
Oh yeah, like it was like
it was open.
It was like one of those like really nasty cuts that you would normally see like above some fighter's eye, and then they would call the fight.
It was on his leg, and it was nasty. I don't limb things really freak me out. That was yikes. But they put on the fight though. Them dudes was just out there just throwing. So shout out to Morales got to change his nickname though. Wasn't he to do his nickname was just like Venezuelan fighter. I think that was him.
Hold on.
I think his nickname is Omar Venezuelan fighter Morales. I was like, bro.
Maybe it just sounds better in like Spanish.
I don't know. I was like, bro, you gotta.
Luchador de Venezuela. I don't know. Like.
Yeah, bro, you gotta change that, man. You gotta do something about that. You can't put on these kind of fights and that be your nickname. That don't.
See, he doesn't have a nickname listed on any of these other like fight sites, but his full name is Omar Antonio Morales Ferrer, which is
that sounds better than Venezuela. I was like, what do you create a character? Like what is that?
He's like defining characteristic. I'm the only Venezuelan.
Right. Nah, bro, you gotta do something about that, man. But awesome fight though. Awesome fight. Moving down, Brian Kelleher got a KO over Hunter Azor, ended his undefeated streak. And Chase Sherman returned to the UFC and got a TKO win over, I think it was a UFC newcomer, Isaac Villanueva. So shout out to Chase Sherman getting the UFC comeback win. So that was the first fight night card in Jacksonville. Decent card.
From an entertainment standpoint, it was fine. If you just want some random ass violence on the Wednesday night, it was fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted anything like substantive that's gonna mean something moving forward, probably wasn't for you.
Yeah. Nothing. There wasn't a ton to like pull from this card. It was just kind of one of those. We're in the moment. Let's just watch people fight.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what that was.
So like. I think I mentioned this last week when we had to sit through like Span versus Alvey. Yeah. Like I've almost exclusively been just watching like high level kickboxing, Muay Thai, and boxing matches during this pandemic. With some grappling mixed in here and there, but mostly just like the strikers and like catching up on like all the kickboxing stuff I didn't know or boxing stuff I don't know. Just like going from that to watching some of these prelims, I kind of get why a lot of like strictly striking art fans are like
really angry,
are really dismissive of MMA fighters because like whoa.
Yes, it's a world of difference.
I mean, like I felt this way watching bits of a fight we might get to. I don't even know if we're gonna get to it because like, let's be real, like who cares besides us? Like Elkins versus man with incredibly complicated last name.
Landwehr.
Landwehr.
I did not know he sounded like that.
I thought he was German.
Why did he sound like a black uncle?
He's from Tennessee.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here?
Like I saw his picture and I saw his name and I'm like, oh, he's German or something, right? And then I see the American flag. I'm like, oh wait, that's confusing to me. So I mean, like that whole area of the United States, there's more ethnic Germans in the U.S. than there is anything else.
But that man sound like he just left the cookout.
At the same time, he's from like, Tennessee, so he's got that accent going for him.
That was. They gave him the miles, bro. I have no idea what I'm witnessing right now. But we'll probably get to it. We'll see. This card I have a little bit more to talk about because I ain't gonna say these fights were more substantial, but I feel like they had some more weight to them. They had some more weight to some of these fights. So moving on. Second card of the week. Where did this one take place? Oh yeah, they're both in Jacksonville.
Everything's in Jacksonville.
Yeah, everything's in
The
Jacksonville.
UFC is a Jacksonville company now.
Yeah, that's where they're moving to. The Performance Institute got to go there now.
Everybody's moving to Jacksonville. It's crazy.
Black Zillions might come back. It's gonna be a Florida thing. Are they back? Is that gym done?
What? No, they split, and now I think the owner died. Like he had a heart attack or something.
Yeah, I do remember.
But now, a lot of the fighters who were at that gym are now with Henry Hooft at a gym called Hard Knocks something, which is where I think what's his face trains, which is Michael Johnson trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have Johnson and Kamaru Usman and all those guys.
Second day of fights happened on Saturday. Also in Jacksonville, UFC Fight Night, Overeem versus Harris. Man, where to start with this one? Man, this is a weird fight to talk about just because of every.
Yeah, no. So do we start with? So apparently, some people didn't know, that Walt Harris's stepdaughter, was kidnapped and murdered back in December, was it?
Yeah.
But that's the long and short of that. And the UFC, if you didn't know, they made sure you knew by the end of the night.
Yeah.
Because boy, oh boy.
I didn't mind that they brought it up because it is a thing that happened, and if you were in the know, you kind of know the last time we heard about Walt Harris, it was because of that. Obviously he was on a good run.
We were supposed to get this fight, but it had to be canceled because
Yeah. So I don't mind that they brought it up because it is kind of one of those things. I ain't gonna say you have to acknowledge it, but we all know this was a thing that happened, and it was a pretty big news story. So you kind of have to cover it in some capacity.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that. I don't need a reminder at every commercial break.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
I don't need to see Walt Harris cry 30 times before he potentially gets knocked out in the main event.
Yeah. That was a bit much.
Yeah, because this isn't a basketball game or a baseball game or a football game where you come back and win or lose, it's still a thing that you made it to the game. You know what I mean? You've gone through the recovery process with your family, you've healed, and this is a story of triumph, right? Because that's not how combat sports work. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that Harris and his family are in a good enough place again that he's able to compete. That's really important. That's great. But winning and losing in MMA is emotionally charged. You feel bad for fighters when they lose fights that are just random prelim fights. I felt bad for Darren Elkins because this was just a random ass fight for him. But there's always a lot riding on these things.
Right.
And this was a huge opportunity for Harris. Facing a guy who was a champion in 3 other organizations, a former K1 champion, former title challenger, and to see him lose in the manner that he lost could not the most sadistic person in the world could not write that script out.
And then
and make
I feel bad for Overeem too, because it's like
He's just
you don't want to be the guy that beats, because you're probably gonna catch heat that you don't really deserve. Like,
this was the one fight like where it was like everybody wants Overeem to lose.
you're right,
Everybody wants.
and it's
Overeem.
no fault of your own. Like, it's
There's nothing you can do, like, except maybe not take the fight. But like, that's not your job.
right.
So,
You gotta fight.
So, to see Walt Harris come so close, only like I think Conor English put it best. He's like, of the ways that I thought that this fight could turn out, this was both of them.
right. Like Overeem gets tagged in the first, and we're like, oh, well, we all saw that coming. That chin was going to get tapped eventually. He caught Overeem back against the cage and hit him with a nice like little 3-piece on the way down.
Well, like he countered something that Overeem threw, like with a 4-punch combination. Missed on the first 3, and then hit him on the 4th one with like an uppercut that Overeem didn't see coming, and then Overeem goes down. And this is
we all know.
Yeah.
I would say normally when Overeem goes down, it's like, oh, well, it's a matter of time before that happened. But like they let him keep going.
Yes.
I for sure thought they were gonna stop it.
So this comes back to Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo. I don't remember who was the ref during this one. Hold up. Was it Herb?
I can't remember.
TV commentary broadcast.
I think it was Herb.
All right. So it was Tandan.
Oh, Dan.
Tandan. So Tandan is standing over Harris as he is just dropping bombs on Overeem. And to Overeem's credit, it's not like he does like not stiff off, but like he does obviously get like hurt multiple times. But he is still moving. He's still defending with his hands. And by some miracle, he finds a way to get back to his feet.
Back up. And bro, we never see that. Like normally when Overeem goes down, bro, it's not a pretty sight.
When Overeem goes down, he does not get up. Yeah.
No,
that
it's
is
over.
A consistent throughout his career.
And I was so like emotionally like,
I was like, oh, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, because like on one hand, I'm like super proud of Reem. Like, oh, he's back up. But at the same time, it's like, oh man, but Walt Harris, that was the moment. Like you could have.
And at that point, like Walt Harris can, it's still like he's still in control of the fight. It's when Overeem backs up against the fence and Walt Harris decides that he is going to turn from a boxer into a kickboxer, that it becomes an issue. Because,
he throws that kick, and I was like, oh no. And when he missed it, and Overeem gave him that little push to the ground, I was like, oh no. And I kind of knew, like, it might be over.
Because, like, my read into this fight was Overeem was going to shoot on Harris and just take him down because Harris has no ground game and no, like, defensive wrestling to speak of. He was just going to take him down and hold him there for 25 minutes. And to Reem's credit, he didn't do that. He got him down and just started beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Like
we've seen throughout his career, man. He has a slick ground game.
Yeah, like Felder and was it Brandon Fitzgerald? We're both on commentary trying to say like, oh, like he's just pitter pattering on him, and it's just like it's not that heavy. It's just like, and then Bisping's in the one who's sitting right in front of him. He's like, no, these look like they hurt, and I'm just like, of course they hurt. Overeem is a 250-pound man who hits like a freaking truck.
Yeah.
Anything he throws hurts.
Yeah, don't let the knockouts fool you. The man is still a very physically
imposing motherfucker.
Yeah. He hits you. It's not a good time.
Oh, props to Overeem for the sit out, reminding people that he started off as a grappler before he became a kickboxer. Just the duck under sit out that he hit on Harris to get to his back.
Yeah, boy, it was.
That was some slick stuff. I appreciate that.
He's slick, man. Yeah, when he got that takedown, I was like, oh god, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. But he made it out the first. got out the first, and we got to the second round, and
It did not get any better.
nope.
A very
And, like,
tired, very winded Walt Harris
Yeah.
gets tagged with a super freaking slick head kick to a right hook
Yeah.
combination that puts him down.
We forget, man, like when Overeem's not getting beat up too bad and he can actually like operate, bro, he is still really, really good.
Yeah. The Overeem's problem, more than his chin, is just that he has like terrible defense. Danny Martin over at the fight site wrote a little bit about Overeem's kickboxing career. And it was basically mostly just about like how like his run through K1 involved him just being this massive motherfucker with like these huge ass muscles and like in these big ass gloves that would just literally just shield up, and it was just impossible to punch around his guard because he was freaking biceps were the size of people's heads. So like Overeem's defense has always been his issue, and like yeah. Part of that is that like he gets back to the cage like he did here, and Harris was able to tag him kind of similarly to how Fred Ngannou was able to tag Jairzinho Rosenstruck last week. It was just like, of course you're gonna get tagged. You got backed into the fence. What did you expect? And when Overeem's on offense, he's freaking dynamo. There's a reason this dude was able to knock out like Mark Hunt and JDS, and he had Stipe Miocic hurt. Like he is not like he is a glass cannon, but he is a cannon still. And it was just too much for Harris. And I made a prediction before the fight that Harris would lose, and then they would stick a microphone in front of his face anyway, and we'd all have to see him cry. And to Paul Felder's credit, he handled it about in as classy a way as you want possible. And Harris just, he was nothing but grateful and sincere, and to everybody who was involved in the process of him and his family, supporting him and his family. So that was good, but and you don't want to like not give him the opportunity to thank people, right?
Right.
You don't want like okay, Overeem, you won. I know that was a big like congratulations, and then you just cut to black or whatever. Because we spent the entire. It might have been easier if we didn't spend the entire night with Walt Harris as he sat there and cried while I can't. Who was the woman interviewing him? Was it one of the ESPN women, or was it Megan O'Leary?
I thought it was O'Leary. I could be wrong though.
Like with them just sitting there as he cries and breaks down, talking about his stepdaughter and his family. So all in all, sad ass way to end the night. Like,
yeah,
there are no fairy tale endings in MMA. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this sport, it will rip your heart out and stomp on it at no moment's notice.
The closest we ever got was DC Stipe, and then DC was like, "No, I can keep going. I have to fight Brock Lesnar."
Right. Yeah. So it's yeah.
Oh wait, Henry Cejudo. There we go.
Yes. Yeah. Man. But I mean, props to Overeem. Way to pull off a comeback, because boy, how often do we see him just get knocked down and not get back up? So he lives to fight another day. And I mean, for Walt Harris, he'll be back. He'll be back.
He's a heavyweight. Of course he'll be back. He's got like another 20 years of contention in him.
Right. Yeah. His career isn't over. Little stumbling block.
Props.
And I mean,
props to Overeem, who was just like, we should train together. Which is just his go-to move for all his opponents nowadays. He's just like,
man.
Curtis Blade, you beat the crap out of me. I gotta learn how to do that from you. Let's train together.
It was working. I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it.
I do.
No, I do want to give Overeem props for that. Like after the fight was over, like he consoled him. It's a weird situation to be in. I think he handled it as best as you would like to see somebody handle
Which is crazy because you remember like Overeem from like back in the day where he was like the gym bully and nobody wanted to take him and everybody kind of hated him and he had to hop from gym to gym just because like his relationships with everybody just turns out. It's just like, oh, that's cool to see. Old age has chilled Overeem out. He got off the roids and the roid rage stopped, I guess.
Good to see the sportsmanship. Good to see the love. That was a sad way to end the card, but it was something.
It could have been so much worse, I guess. Like Overeem wins and just like hops into Walt Harris's face while he's on the ground and just starts screaming.
Right. Yeah, like it could have been bad.
He's like Hernando Moicano. He just hops on the microphone. He's like, "This is my family. That's why I'm such a dick."
Yeah, like it could have been worse. So, all things considered, I guess. Congrats to Overeem, man. And we'll definitely see Walt Harris again. I guess now, like, not to keep harping on this, but I feel like after like the situation he went through, not saying like the death of a family member ever like leaves you, but I feel like that first comeback fight is probably like the hardest thing. So I feel like now that he's gotten that out of the way, so to speak, that maybe the next one will be a little, hopefully a little easier.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man.
I do wonder how his family dealt, like, because I'm sure that like they were tuned in for this. At least some of them were tuned in for this fight, and just have to relive that moment over and over and over and over again.
Next time we see Harris, we don't need that. We don't need that promo.
Yeah.
Like that again. But
I really hope, like, moving forward, you want to bring it up during like a pre-fight that I fight for my my stepdaughter and like whatever, that's fine, but like
don't beat it into the ground.
Do not do what they did with like what was his name, the Ghost, was it Robert Guerrero, the dude, was he the dude who, no, it was it's fucking Danny Jacobs and his cancer thing. Was it Danny Jacobs who had cancer, or am I just confusing him with somebody?
I don't know why I don't really I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Daniel Jacobs. So like, you don't want to beat it into the ground where it just becomes like a thing where like, okay, we get it, he had cancer and he doesn't anymore. It's just like, that's a part of his story. Like, but continue telling the rest of his story. You know what I mean?
Right. But we'll see, man. Shout outs to Overeem, and we'll definitely see Walt Harris back in there.
Absolutely.
But Overeem got the win via TKO in the second round. Moving on, co-main event: Angela Hill versus Claudia Cordelia.
The first of, well, not the first, but the last of three really contentious main card fights that had people on Twitter and Sherdog and the Underground and the RMF. Everybody was in a fit. Everything's a robbery. Everything's garbage.
I went back and I rewatched this. Tried to remove my biases. Well, first I'll just say, first of all, it was a good fight. Throw that out there. I expected Cordelia to go for a lot more takedowns. I didn't think it was going to be as much of a kickboxing match as it was. But it made for some entertainment, so I appreciated it. Man. I was hurt when that decision got read, I'm not going to lie. Good showing I thought from both. Hill got the knockdown in the second? Or was that the first?
Second round.
That was the second, yeah.
First round was not all Godella, but like she got her down partway through the round, and friggin' just was on top, just beating her.
Yeah, Gadelia definitely took the first. Hill rebounded in the second. She got the knockdown. It became pretty much a straight up like kickboxing match from that point on. Well, until the third when Gadelia eventually got that late takedown. But they just had a fun, kickboxing match back and forth with each other. I do wish, and Hill started doing it like later in the fight, but I wish he would, and I guess I can kind of see why she didn't, probably because of fear of the takedown, because they were mentioned like her reach and like her kicks, and I was wondering if she would have went with like some more, maybe like the front kick a little bit more, but don't want to get your leg caught up, taken down, beat up. I get it, but she landed the heavy shot in the second round. I want to say I had it 1-1 going to the third. They both were landing some pretty good licks on each other. I'm not going to say this was a robbery. I remember watching actually, I can't remember now if I'm confusing this with the Ige fight, where like I felt like the takedown at the end was like too little too late. But no, this fight was definitely much closer than the Ige fight was. My opinion, I thought. Fun fight. I'm mad at the decision because I'm a Hill fan. I guess I'm not gonna protest it too much. It wasn't like I think Hill like completely ran her over. So I guess I'll be okay. Oh, I'm not okay actually. I'm I'm still salty. But I guess I don't know. How did you see this fight?
I rewatched the third round again, and I was leaning more towards Angela Hill. Though I guess I can see the argument for Kelly Gadella. I'm gutted for Hill because like that was the best she's ever looked. Like much less bouncy, like much more like power in her shots. She got taken down in the first round and got controlled, but that's Claudia Gadella. Like Claudia Gadella was doing that to freaking Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So like, what can you really do? But like that was the best I've ever seen Angela Hill. Hell, she was going toe to toe with Claudia Gadella, who for the longest time we thought was the strongest strawweight until Jessica Andrade and Weili Zhang showed up, and was just going toe to toe with her in the clinch and beating her.
Didn't get bullied around. It reversed her a couple times.
Had her on the fence, landed some really nice knees, landed a really nice standing elbow that cut Gadella open in the second round. Like I'm gutted because she should be ranked after that. Like, that was a very, very impressive performance from Hill. That's what I'm trying to get at. And for Gadella, it was impressive in some ways and a little disheartening in others. Like there's a decent argument that Gadella is like 0-3 in her last 3 fights. I thought she had like a very clear, not clear, but I thought Esparza beat her. She lost to Ansaroff, and she arguably lost to Hill here. But like you see the improvements, right?
Wait, am I mixing up the random? I forgot the Randa Marcos fight. So there's an argument that she's 1-3 in her last 4, okay, and or 1-4 in her last 5 because that's when the Andrade fight happened. But there were improvements in her boxing. Her boxing looked phenomenal, or not phenomenal, but like way ahead of what it used to be.
Yeah, it was much better. Yeah, much better than we used to.
Much tighter, less just winging power shots. Though there was a bit of that still. Much more comfortable in the pocket. I'd like to see more leg kicks from her. Though I think that's a product of her moving backwards a little bit more, which she did in this fight. But like the main thing that Claudia Gadella is good at is grappling. and she was not able to take down Angela Hill after that first round. And maybe that's by design. Maybe like she doesn't want to grapple because that's how she tires herself out. That's another thing. Her cardio is better. I cannot tell you when the last time she won a third round in like a contentious fight was. That's normally the part of the fight. Like she just drops off a cliff. Where was I going with this? But if she can't work her grappling into her game, she's not like. Does she stand a better chance of out kickboxing Joanna Jędrzejczyk or Weili Zhang or Jessica Andrade? You know what I mean? Her, and obviously taking any of those women down is freaking near impossible, like, as time has shown. But like, especially at strawweight, but like you like her main strength is her wrestling and her grappling and her ability to keep opponents on their back. Maybe she turns into a world-class striker. But at the same time, like she's been dropped by Carla Esparza and Angela Hill, two women who have historically not been like very big powerhouses in the division. To Hill's credit, she did drop Jessica Andrade, but that was in part because Jessica Andrade just rushes forward wildly like a crazy woman. But still, like accomplishment nonetheless. So like I'm worried a little bit about her durability. Like, okay, have we seen her? Especially after that Andrade fight, have we just seen her chin and like just crack, and we're just not seeing it because she's not fighting anybody with any power. Like if you were to throw that in here with Rose Namajunas, would Rose be able to just put her out?
Yeah, that I think that could get ugly. that could get ugly. I remember watching this fight and thinking, I wish Hill jabbed a little more.
Yeah.
I feel like she's just really long and like she's got a good frame for that kind of, not, and I'm not comparing the two, but like, I feel like Thug Rose puts very good use of her frame. Like she's able to get in and get out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of long, kind of lanky, like just really use it to her advantage. And I feel like Hill is built like somewhat similarly, but just doesn't use it to like the best that I feel like it could be used for.
A large part of her game is just like being able to beat people in the clinch. And that's at like odds with like her Dominic Cruz-esque bouncy around on the outside stick. So like I think she struggled to find the medium between the two, and this was her coming the closest she ever has. But yeah, no, like I'd like to see her use her reach a little bit more, like you said.
Cause she'll like bounce around and leap in with like a hook, which I mean it got the knockdown, but I'm like you could really get off some three pieces if you would just stick somebody with a jab and just, let everything kind of flow from there. Because I feel like a lot of times when she'll get clipped or get hit, it's because, like, she's leaning in, not leaning in, but, like, she'll bounce around, come in for, like, a hook, and then she'll allow to land one or get hit with one in return. It's like you could just stick some people with some jabs, and they probably can't touch you from out there, or would have to work a bit harder for it. This one was hard. I wanted her to get the win. I agree she should have got it, but it wasn't such a wipeout that I'll throw a fit. But I'm a little key salty.
It was no Ige Barboza.
Yeah, and what's weird is and we'll get to that next. But congrats to Gadelia though. Did show improvements. She got a split decision over Angela Hill. Thought Angela Hill should have won, but it is what it is. Moving on to featherweight, Dan Ige versus Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza making his featherweight debut. I guess we just mentioned it. How did you score this fight?
I had it 2-1 for Barboza. like a pretty clean 2-1 for Barboza. There was a better argument in my mind for like 3-0 Barboza than there was for like 2-1 Ige.
Yeah, in real time, I think I had it 29-28 Barboza. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, he might have got a clean sweep. He might have gotten a clean sweep.
Yeah, and it's like...
I wouldn't have been mad if at least one judge gave him a 30-27. Yeah, something told me about this fight that something was going to happen. Like, either this fight was not going to go the way I hoped, and Barboza would, like, find a way to somehow get clipped and knocked out, or just something weird was going to happen. And I guess the judges happened. I feel like Barboza, I put this on Twitter, I feel like him and RDA have the worst, just, those dudes cannot catch a break to save their lives. Like, they get thrown in the most grueling fights, and just, for whatever reason, I don't know what they did in their past life. I don't know if it's bad karma. I don't know if they cussed some old lady out and we never heard about it, and this is life paying them back. They can just never catch a break. Like, I don't know what it is, man. Like, I mean, he looked good at featherweight. I wasn't, like, blown away, but I thought Barboza looked solid. Obviously, he carried down the power. He rocked Ige in the first with that right hand in the first round. Still was throwing pretty good leg kicks, was landing some really solid shots. He was getting takedowns. Like, he looked solid. Like, he looked good. And it just didn't translate to a win. And it's not to say that Ige didn't land, but I don't know. To me, it seemed like Barboza landed everything that was, like, more substantial.
Yeah. So to Ige's credit, he did a fantastic job trying to force Barboza into a fight that he's historically lost. He tried to pressure him, he tried to swarm him, tried to get him to move backwards, landed a ton, hurt Barboza, had that hematoma growing underneath Barboza's, was it his left eye, by the end of the first round. But he repeatedly ran into issues where he got hurt, like, a lot. Like, at least twice, like, seriously.
He got dropped in the first round off of, it was a right hand or a right elbow that Barboza threw while he was Ige was trying to close distance. And then he got dropped in the second round off a body kick. Or not dropped, but like he went down.
He folded a little bit.
He folded, yeah. And it's just like Barboza, like, they landed at a pretty even clip, and Barboza landed the strikes to actually put the other guy down. So, like, I don't understand how you can give Ige the rounds where, like, especially, like, yeah, no, it's weird.
Could it be another case? I can't remember the fight I'm thinking of, but could this have been another case where we've talked about this before, where judges just see a guy moving forward and they assume that he's winning?
Yeah, that could be it. Like, Barboza has, like, really bad, like, body language when he gets swarmed on. Like, he got swarmed on here, and to his credit, he didn't do the whole "I'm moving backwards as fast as humanly possible" deal that he did against Khabib and Kevin Lee. And maybe that's because Khabib and Kevin Lee are, like, psychopathic freaking pressure fighters, and, you know, Ige is more of a swarmer. But, like, he did not do the whole I'm gonna sprint backward and see how that goes for me type deal. And maybe it was just the weight cut. Maybe it's just like I don't feel like moving too much because that weight cut took a lot out of me. But like, he did better at planting his feet and throwing back. But, like, at the same time, like, there were parts where he just shelled up and, like, looked like he was hurt. You know what I mean? He looked more hurt than he actually was, because he would immediately bounce back in, like, a couple seconds after Ige was done throwing and just fire back. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like Ige was the one coming forward for a good part of the fight. He was throwing, like, these long, like, 6-strike combinations. He had, like, really fast and flashy hands. And it's not like he didn't hurt Barboza. Like, there's a reason Barboza was shelling up. But I'm still struggling to give him like 2 rounds.
Yeah, I would say giving him 1 round. All right, cool. Saying he won the entire fight. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. And it kind of sucks because it was a fun fight, and like, you know, I feel like a fight generally where everybody kind of likes both fighters. Like, you're not really, you know. So like, yeah, it was just one of those. Really, just kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, and I like Ige. Like, this isn't a case of like, I'm a Barboza stan or whatever. Like, I like Ige. Like, he's a scrappy dude. He's really like grown since, taking that L to, what was it, Arce, or was it? Yeah,
and been on a good run.
Yeah, good run. Like, he was on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight winning streak. Had just beat Bektic. Like, yeah, this is 6 in a row. Probably gonna get a ranked opponent next. I'm happy for him. Like, I like him. I hope he does well. But like, at the same time, it's like you feel for Barboza because like he goes from this division where like like half the dudes at the top of it are tailor made to beat him. Like, I'm sorry, like, there's no world where he's going to beat Justin Gaethje or Kevin Lee or Khabib Nurmagomedov just because of how their styles match up. And I thought he got robbed against Paul Felder. I thought he won that fight, the rematch. So like to see him go from that to going down to featherweight to find new fresh matchups and losing a fight that he probably should have won is a little disheartening.
Yeah. And then I was thinking too, like, man, featherweight is kind of a Shark Tank too.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If,
like,
if Barboza somehow won this fight, like, I don't think like he, like, with what's at the top.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier, man.
I don't think like he matches up well with those guys. Like, because Ige, Ige is a pretty fast guy. But like, how does Edson Barboza handle Alexander Volkanovski's freaking pressure? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how does he deal with the speed of like a Yair Rodriguez or a Calvin Gator? Like, he has the leg kicks, but we saw like the leg kicks were not there for him last night in the same way they were at lightweight because he doesn't have that speed advantage.
So yeah, like it's still somewhat of an uphill battle. I think his power will do him some justice. Hopefully, I think he'll kind of have that riding for him. But yeah, it's not getting easier, man. It's still gonna be a lot of grueling fights for him at featherweight. But we'll see. We'll see. Congrats to Dan Ige though. Continue his streak. Keeps him moving along. This next fight, I'll just read the result. I ain't watched this. Middleweight, Krzysztof Jotko defeated Eric Anders via unanimous decision. I had this fight on, and I wasn't really watching it. I was like zoned out. So just not really paying attention.
I'll just say this: I don't think Alabama's the place you want to go if you want to be like a world class prize fighter. And I say that knowing that they produced Deontay Wilder, but I also say that knowing that Deontay Wilder had to be in the worst division in boxing to do it. So.
There you go.
Yeah, between Eric Anders, Jocko, Harris, Overeem, and Wilder Fury, it's not been a good year for the Bama boys.
I don't know why I was gonna say Bryce Mitchell. I forgot he's not from Bama though. He's from
Missouri, Arkansas, same shit.
Yeah. But Jocko got the win. Congrats to him. Just wasn't really watching the fight. Just.
I want
of all the fights on the main.
I want Eric Anders to be good so bad, but he's just not. It's so sad.
Well, to me, I feel like to me he's actually succeeded my expectations. I remember watching him in LFA, and then when he got the UFC call, I didn't think that he would be ready for it. So for me, he's actually done better than I thought he would be. Because I'm gonna lie, I thought he'd be one of those guys who'd get the calls to the UFC. And might have lost like his first 2, and then we might have just never seen him again. So I'm actually was surprised that he stuck around and has been able to stay afloat for as long as he did. But yeah, I think he might just kind of be one of those guys that he kind of is what he is at this point.
He's an athletic specimen with no like technical like flourish whatsoever.
Yeah. He's kind of just he is what he is. He'll win some, he'll lose some, and that's kind of that.
The sad part is if he was a heavyweight, he'd be so much more effective. Because his game at heavyweight probably works. Because just big, strong, hits hard.
Eric Anders, just go to Five Guys and just eat like 5 burgers.
Just woke up. Go join your boy.
You'll knock. Right, you'll knock one of them dudes out. You'll knock one of them out. But congrats to Christoph Jocko. And the last fight on the main card, another one that had some people in a frenzy. Song Yadong versus Marlon Vera. This was a fight that I had marked down. This is actually probably the fight on the card I was most hyped to see. Really fire matchup. Really enjoyed the clinch fighting in this. Like, there were just random moments of just clinch violence that would just randomly explode. Like, Vera gets him in the clinch, the next thing you know, just elbows and fists are just flying, and it's just extremely violent for these really short periods of time. Another fight that I thought was pretty close. I was leaning more towards Yadong. I felt like his shots, similar to the Barboza fight, like his shots to me seemed to be just more substantial, more they had a little more zing on them. But also, I want to say, I memory's probably a little shot, but also similar to what we mentioned in the Barboza Ige fight, I do remember a lot of this fight was Vera was, the one who pushed forward a lot. Obviously had the reach advantage, and it was a lot of Yadong kind of having to find his way inside, but Vera was the one I feel like was kind of pushing forward. So, I can't. It was a close fight. It was a fun fight. Like I said, lots of just random clinch violence. But I don't know. Maybe I had to go back and rewatch this again for like a third time. I thought Vera did okay, but I felt like he didn't really have any like, what's the word? Like moments really that like, I don't know. Like there's not, like people were mad that Yadong won, and I like Vera too. But I don't know. I didn't feel like Vera had like, I don't know. I would have to go back and rewatch this again, but maybe I'm in the minority, or on Twitter I probably was. But I didn't feel like Vera did enough to really make me go like, all right, he definitely won that fight. Because people were calling robbery like it was a clear, he definitely won. And I didn't feel that way at all. But that's just me. Who am I? How did you feel about this?
I had Yadong winning. I rewatched the fight before we hopped on here. And I was like, I had Yadong winning last night. I was like, okay, it could have gone either way. And I rewatched this one. I'm like, yeah, no, I thought Song won pretty outright. Like he won. Like he controlled. I shouldn't even say controlled. He outboxed the crap out of Marlon Vera in the first like 3.5 minutes of that fight. Then Vera got him up against the cage in the second round, I should say, not the fight, which is the contentious round. And then Vera got him up against the cage and landed a couple of nice elbows. They broke. Yadong threw something back. And like, I'll give like if the round was literally just that last minute, I'd give it to Vera, but it wasn't. It was the whole entire round, and like it's not like Yadong wasn't landing in that last minute of the round either. So I don't know. I was really disappointed in Cheeto. Not because he was upset he lost or whatever, because that's whatever. You're in the middle of a fight, you can't see it outright. You remember all the strikes that you land, you don't remember all the strikes your opponent landed, that type of dealio. But like the tweet afterwards of just him being fucking sour. I don't lost the fight to the Chinamen. I lost to the judges. All my hard work down the fucking drain. I can't believe this horseshit tonight. Like, no, dude, you lost. Like, chillax. Like,
Yeah, it'd be one thing if you like steamrolled him, but
yeah, it's one thing if he went out there and did what freaking like put him on the ground like freaking Edson Barboza did, but like he did not do that. He had a contentious fight that I thought he lost pretty clearly. And you know, like it's the fight game, man.
yeah, I have to go back and give this one some more rewatch. I just remember, like you said, I feel like when they were like exchanging, like Yadong, he was landing the oomph shots, so to speak. But we'll see. Barrow will be back at bantamweight, I would think.
Yeah, both of them.
I didn't know why this was at featherweight.
So
yeah.
According to Yadong in the post-fight interview, through his translator, he was like, "Yeah, no, 2 weeks ago I was eating fried chicken, drinking soda on the couch, and then they called me up and was like, hey, you want to fight?" I was like, "Sure." So I'm assuming it was just like Yadong was like, "I can't make 135," and like,
right. Look at this guy. See what he said. Pandemic bet. Oh man, I ain't mad at him. I had a shrimp cheesesteak yesterday. But no, they'll both be back. I like Yadong though, man. Yadong's really good, man.
I could deal with all the racist ass people on Twitter. Fucking coming at Yadong. It's really
real quick to pivot away from that. We don't gotta spend too much time on this. Got some other things I wanna get to, but Yadong is not 22 years old.
he is.
No, he's not. Hold up. Let me pull up. Hold up, man.
So,
This man.
big shout outs to because I only remember to Megaton, aka at Base Dong Jesus, who told me basically that way back in Rough, which is what you're about to pull up, which was like 2013 when Yadong first fought for for Rough, which is was they're no longer around, was MMA organization in China, one of the first successfully international ones, I guess. Like, not so much that like they were like big all over the world, but so much as like somebody like me or you who likes like going to like other countries and seeing what they got going on, would be able to recognize them. So apparently Yadong faked his papers to fight for Rough. And he was like 15 when he was fighting for them.
So he was knocking out crap. Imagine like you were one of the guys he knocked out, and you find out like 10 years, like you watching him on his car, like, oh yeah, I fought that guy, and then you really find like, oh, he was 15 when he put them hands on.
Well, it makes sense in a couple different like one, it's like a regional ass Chinese thing, like fight, like I'm sure, like I from the brief time I spent in China, it does not seem like it'd be hard to fake your identity to fight on a fucking fight card, because like there's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, just everything's all fast paced, and like I'm sure the organizers didn't really give a fuck. It's like the type of people who would run an MMA card probably don't care. I also don't think it was regulated at the time, like not extremely harshly anyway. But there's that, and then there's the fact that like MMA in China in 2013 is not very good. Hell, it might not. It's still probably not very good. So like, I could believe that there's a series of grown ass men in China who have literally just gotten into MMA, who are just getting their shit wrecked by like this really buff 15-year-old.
Bro, he was teenage out there just flatlining dudes.
I mean, it's not like it's not a thing that doesn't happen here or in North America. We got Rory McDonald and Jordan Mean.
Yeah.
Who notoriously started fighting in their early mid-teens.
Well, I'll say if he really is 22, which I guess he is, bright future for that kid, man. At 22, he's really good to be 22. Still got, definitely room for improvement, but for 22, he's got a bright future. So we'll see. I gotta go back and watch that fight again, though. But I'm sticking with that. I thought Yadong won that. But that was the main card. Because I got some other stuff I want to get to because of time. I'm going to kind of run through these prelims. Even though the prelims actually were really entertaining. So I'm going to run through this kind of quick, but I still want to give people their props. Miguel Beza. I felt it in my soul during this fight that at some point something was going to go bad for Matt Brown, and it did. I didn't think it was going to be so abrupt, but yikes. Yeah, Matt Brown got RIP basically, and that's kind of how that went. So shout out to Miguel Beza. I think that was his UFC debut, right?
No, it was the second fight. He knocked out some dude. I think it was by a leg kicks. Hector Aldana. He knocked out Hector Aldana back in October.
Well, getting a win over Matt Brown in your second fight, pretty good. Even though it's an elder Matt Brown, but still it's Matt Brown.
This felt like a fight that if it happened like 5 years ago, Matt Brown probably would have won easily.
He'd have ripped that man to shreds.
He'd have torn that man. The durability just isn't there anymore for Matt Brown.
Yeah. When he went down, I was like, ooh, yeah, that's over, buddy. Shout out to Miguel Beza. A fight that I did not see coming and ending the way it did. Kevin Holland came in real quick and beat the bricks off of Fluffy. Kevin Holland defeated Anthony Hernandez via TKO in the first round in like 39 seconds.
Kevin Holland beat Jeff Neal. Like, there's just something that happened.
That boy good.
Like, he's not bad. He just doesn't always take it very seriously.
Yeah, but no, that boy, he alright. He's alright out there, and he's like a fun personality. He's got I think he's somebody who's gonna be around this sport for a while. I think he's gonna be one of those guys. There'll always be a job for you. You're fun to watch. You got a bright personality. As long as you can keep the fights entertaining, there will always be somewhere for you in this sport. But getting a quick win like that over Fluffy, really impressive. Got Fluffy out of there real quick. Beat him up. That was game over. So props to Kevin Holland. At featherweight, Giga Chikadze was supposed to fight Mike Davis. Mike Davis had to pull out. So on short notice, a gentleman named Erwin Rivera stepped in, who I want to say is actually a bantamweight who moved up to featherweight. So props to him for one, taking it on short notice. Two, even though I respected that he was just in there just kind of throwing. Like, man, just, coming up a weight class, short notice. He just came in. He was ready to fight. He got beat up. Giga. Did you watch this fight?
Parts of it. I saw, Giga just kick the shit out of Rivera.
Giga in that, I feel like, especially from the second round on, but he was clowning in there. Like it was a point where he just started to look really comfortable, and he just started to throw whatever he wanted, kicks, just whatever he felt like throwing, whatever came to his mind, he just threw. He was doing all these crazy stance motions, and the man he entered the matrix. I felt like he knew how much better a striker he was than Rivera, and he really let it show. But props to Rivera, though. Probably will be somebody fun to watch at bantamweight. Looks like a fun, just kind of action-type fighter. But Giga got loose on that man. He got real loose. So shout out to Giga Chikadze. I hope they can end up making that Mike Davis fight, though. That could be fun. But props to Giga Man. Just entered the matrix, got real busy. You want to give a quick thought to Darren Elkins and company?
The bits of the fight I did see were typical Elkins, except he was not able to get the wrestling going. I mean, it was some mid-level MMA brawling, which is fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, yeah, blood and guts. Blood and guts.
Yeah, it was Nate Landwehr versus Darren Elkins. It was just a very violent, bloody MMA affair. That's all you need to know. If you want to see some blood, you want to see people bleeding and sweating and just getting beat up. It ain't gonna be the most technical, sound thing to look at, but the violence factor and entertainment factors there, that's the fight for you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, surrounded in a bunch of really good prelim fights. Like, these prelims were actually pretty fire, to be honest. But Nate Landwehr got the win. Proceeded to give a post-fight interview where I realized that there's like a black uncle somewhere in his body. His voice just really threw me off. It really threw me off. But shout out to Nate Landwehr. Bloodied up Darren Elkins. They had a nice, just bloody, entertaining fight. At women's flyweight, Courtney Casey snatched a nasty armbar on Mara Romero Barella. I don't know if she broke it, but boy, that armbar looked, yikes. Arms ain't supposed to bend that way. So shout out to Courtney Casey. And at heavyweight, Rodrigo Nascimento defeated Dontel Mays via rear naked choke. So yeah, that was the other UFC Jacksonville card. This one delivered. On paper, I thought this would be the better of the two that we would get this week, and it definitely turned out that way. Maybe still not having like a ton of substantial fights, but I just felt like this card better showcased, I think, better like overall talent, in my opinion. Albeit the ending was kind of like, one of the moments you realize the sport doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
But from an entertainment factor, I thought we got some good quality scraps. It was a mixture of new faces and old faces, but I felt like mostly everybody. I ain't watched the Jocko Andrews fight, so I can't speak on their behalf. But I feel like everybody else showed out. Like, I feel like I was worried when these fights would come back about how everybody would look and how this pandemic would affect these fights. And so far, I feel like everybody's been pretty good. Like, I haven't really seen any performances that made me just like, this looks, awful. Everybody really seemed like they were really eager to get in and fight, and they were out there showing out. So I don't know what they're doing during this pandemic, but clearly they're, I guess, making the best of it the best they can. And it's giving us some quality fights. So that was the other UFC Jacksonville card. Really good card. I would say of the two, if you missed both of them, I would probably watch this one first. The other one, you can get to that one when you get to it. But this one was worth the watch, man. This one was worth the watch. There was a lot of good happenings on here. So we're actually a little over 2 hours. It's actually about the length of a regular episode. But just some quick questions, things I had on my mind before we get out of here and wrap up. I can't remember if I mentioned this during the Ferguson Gaethje card, and obviously we mentioned earlier, the whole thing with Khabib's father, so it might be a while before we see him again. But I was thinking of this earlier. Has the Khabib-Tony fight like lost all steam now? Like, is that even not really? I ain't gonna say it's not a thing anymore, but like it's. I mean, we missed the moment.
I think we missed the moment. Here's my thing. And I've had a couple people try to tell me that they can still do the fight. It's like Chuck and Vanderlei or what was the other one? The fight that any one of those I don't know, Frank Mir versus Fedor, I guess. like we could still technically have the fight, but here's the thing. Unlike most of those other guys, Khabib never has to fight ever again. Like, he is wildly popular, wildly influential, and wildly rich beyond any of our imaginations in like his home country. Like, dude is a walking god in fucking Dagestan. Like he has had government positions thrown at him. Like his like
Most like big time Russian athletes have some type of like billionaire financier behind them. And like Khabib has been throwing Mercedes Benz at him since he was like just signed to the UFC, basically. Like Khabib never has to fight ever again. Is my point. At this point, he's doing it just because he enjoys doing it, and it's not even like the primary thing he does. Like he does all this other like charity work and like outreach, and like he does a million and one things now. He does not need to fight again. Like, so my thought process is, it's completely reliant. If that fight ever happens, it's completely reliant on Tony getting back to a title shot. And at a lightweight, like I don't know how Tony's gonna look because that was a life-changing fight. Like, if this was boxing, like we'd probably write his career off from now on. But you know, it's MMA; it's a little different. Like, so if it does happen, I'll think it won't have the momentum of the last one because Tony won't be on like a 12-fight winning streak or whatever. But I think it'll have some buzz, but it just won't have the same buzz because like you're not gonna have like a guy who's one loss in the UFC. Like we've all seen Tony lose and lose bad.
Right.
And like if Khabib loses to like Justin Gaethje or whoever in his next couple of fights, like I don't think he sticks around. Maybe he comes back for like a rematch and then retires, but like I don't think he sticks around. You know what I mean? Because this is just one of the things he does now. And like he never planned on fighting past like the age of like 31 or whatever. And Lord knows with like his coach and father fighting for his life right now, like if he'll ever fight again. So yeah, they got all these things in play. Like, so I don't see that fight happening.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, because I was thinking like this podcast will be coming to an end soon, and the last card we were supposed to review would have been Tony versus B, but obviously what happened. And then Tony ends up losing to Gaethje, and I was thinking like, you know, there were set fights that will make me come out of podcast retirement to talk about them. And had Tony won, Tony and Khabib would have been on that list still. And now that he lost, I'm like, I don't know if if that fight happens, I don't know if it has that same oomph that like it had before. Obviously, it would have to come down to the fight. Like, I would still have to actually see it, and it could still end up being amazing. Who knows? But as of right now, the way I'm feeling, I'm like, I don't know. Of course, if they make the fight, I'm definitely still gonna watch it. But it just feels like we were robbed of a moment that we could have had, and now we're
short-term games, man. Short-term games. Yeah. That's all the UFC cares about. That's all Endeavor cares about. That's all ESPN cares about. They don't care about moments. They care like actual legacy-defining moments. They care about like, you know, dates. They gotta fill dates. They gotta push pay-per-views. Apparently, the Tony Gaethje card sold like 700,000 pay-per-views on ESPN Plus, and I'm sure the UFC will attribute that to like, you know, I'm sure part of it plays a factor. The fact that, you know, there have been no sports for like the past 2 months. I'm sure that plays an important factor. Personally, I think what plays an even more important factor is the fact that there were no fights for 2 months. Like, there's a different, like, we previously we've had a fight like every weekend. You know what I mean? It's just like, why would somebody pay for something that they get all the time?
People, now we've been in a drought and people, they're thirsty.
Exactly.
They are thirsty. But I'll give them props though, because I didn't think that card was gonna sell like that.
I mean, I figured it'd break 500,000. But to be honest with you, like just off of like, like I said, the biggest thing with the like we talk about like, oh, the UFC's pay-per-view average per card is down when you factor out McGregor. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but at the same time, it's because the UFC throws on like 20,000 fucking cards a year. It's like the hell, like they're not as stacked as they used to be, like, and like you can just see one every weekend. Like, there's nothing like this sport is part spectacle. And when you just overexpose the spectacle, it starts being special.
All right.
So, like, like it was like I was like, if the UFC was to cut their pay-per-views to 6, they'd probably like still hit the mark that they normally hit every year. But would do it in less shows. But they would probably make less money because they would like get less money off of prelims and stuff like that. So you know what it is. You know how it is.
Yeah, the Magic's gone. It's dwindled. I don't say it's completely gone, but it's dwindled down a little bit. Fight doesn't feel the same. And the last topic, and I probably shouldn't have saved this till the end because this could go for a while. But I guess trying to think of how to phrase this. I guess now that it seems like fights are, well, the UFC they're keeping the ball rolling. I think I read that Bellator is trying to come back by the June or July. I want to say.
When they come back by mid-July.
Yeah. So it seems like as of now, who knows, things can change. That I guess these fights they're gonna happen. They're still gonna be a thing. And I guess everybody's going to slowly start getting back into the mix. Obviously, it's going to be different, probably no crowd, but I don't know. I've just been feeling really disconnected, kind of, sort of. Like I'm not getting as hype about all these fights as I normally do. Like normally, like last card, there are fights I just outright skipped. And a couple months ago, that wouldn't have been the case. Even if I thought a fight was terrible, I probably just would have watched it just to say I watched it. And now I just kind of don't, like my mind is just not even there to really care to go back and, I don't know, like it's a weird time we're in, and I don't know if it's like a moral thing, like I feel like I shouldn't be watching this, or if it's just like, I don't know, like the pandemic, like my mind just is kind of just...
Like, yeah, your mind is like occupied with other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not really on this, like the whole, everybody's like really anxious to see a sport again. And I'm not saying if like the NBA came back, like I'm not going to watch, but I'm not like clamoring, I guess, for a new live sport to, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So I don't know, like how do you feel about like fights? Have you just accepted like, all right, this is, regardless of safety, like this is gonna be a thing, and I guess we just kind of gotta, I'm gonna say deal with it, but I guess it is what it is.
I mean,
kind of.
Like I have been, like outside of Gaethje Ferguson, I've been emotionally like uninvested. Like I've been tuning in just like straight up out of habit. But like I was also like that with a lot of cards before, like where it's just like, okay, this is what I do with my Saturday nights. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, like I normally have a good time, and I've had a decent enough time watching fights this week. But like the day-to-day news and like, like the fight announcements and like this, that, like it's
one ear out the other.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, dude, like I got like real life shit to worry about. Like,
and like I'm wondering, is it because we're this? Well, I mean, like I said, we don't know the future, but it seems like it's probably gonna be like this for a while, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
the pandemics don't just they don't just go away.
Yeah.
Corona ain't just gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, all right, I was just playing, and you like just gonna leave. It's gonna be around for a while. So I'm wondering, like, am I just maybe I am ending this podcast at the right time because I don't feel the excitement like anymore. And I'm like, maybe this is a good time to end because I'm not emotionally really there to really care about. Like, I want the fighters to fight. I want them to be able to make a living, make money. But I'm just not. I don't know. It's all weird. Everything's all weird. And I guess real quick, even outside of MMA, you think all these other sports are coming back? You think the NBA, NFL? You think everybody's gonna trickle back in?
I think that depends on like the money. Like I don't think the NBA is coming back. Like I don't like by the time like the mayor of LA already said that like they're not fucking opening anything up for like sports in like 2021 or whatever. Until 2021, like the city of LA is just on lockdown for the next 3 months. Like they're trying to reopen the state here, like here in New York and like the whole 6-state whatever thing. I'm just waiting for it to spike again. I know for some reason people like how Cuomo and De Blasio have been handling the situation. Meanwhile, the people who actually have to live with their decisions have been like, no, they should have. They're not doing enough. Like if LA isn't open, I don't see why the NBA. I don't see the NBA coming back. You know what I mean? And if New York isn't open, I don't see the NBA coming back.
I didn't think the NBA was gonna come back, but I'm sort of swing the other way now, just because of certain stuff I've been reading and hearing. And I think it's weird because the NFL is further away, and I feel like they're not gonna have a season for some reason. But I feel like the NBA is gonna find a way around this because I've been hearing like they're gonna just try to do it in like a not remote, but instead of having teams like travel like they normally would for road games, like everybody's just gonna meet up at like a central kind of location, kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing.
Kind of like the UFC thing, like we're all just gonna go to one.
Is that a conversation between owners, or is that a conversation between owners and the players' union? Because like,
well, it's been both. So from what I heard, the NBA did is they sent out like a massive text message, basically to get a temperature check, I guess, for the players. Like, do you guys want to try to kick this season back off, or do you just want to scrap it and we'll just reconvene and we'll come back next year and figure it out?
I say they just.
I don't know what the rest.
I say they just skip to the fucking playoffs. If they're gonna come back and you win,
well, yeah. So
just skip to the playoffs. Take the best, like, what is it, 16 teams. Have them do like expedited like first round, 5 games instead of 7, and then just go from like a regular playoff series from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like,
yeah, see, I trust the NBA, I guess, more than the NFL to figure out. Also, since they were already in the middle of this, well, they were close to the end of the season. There weren't that many games left.
explain something.
You could take like the top couple teams and just be like, hey man, it is what it is. We're just gonna take the top 4 teams from each conference, have it out. I feel like they might find a way to make it work. The only fear I have for them is that they'll try to pull this idea off, and as much as they'll try to take, precaution, like somebody will get sick, and then like what do you do from there? Do you just keep going? You just power through it?
Or do you have to
or
stop?
like yeah, or like what do you do if, and I don't want to wish this on anybody, so I won't name any names, but one of your star players, a star player who everybody tunes in to see every night, gets the corona.
Shouts to what's his name? Donovan Mitchell.
Right. He gets it, and now he's out. And now it's just like, now we don't even look at the playoffs anymore because it's like, all right, this team didn't even have their best player, and it wasn't like injury, like, bro, the man got, he caught the virus, like, we can't, I don't know. It's a weird situation because obviously they can't shut down forever, but it's like, if you're going to open back up, man, you got to be real cautious about how you kind of handle it. I guess I kind of trust the NBA more than the NFL for whatever reason. that they'll at least put more countermeasures and more thought into how they can kind of do this safely. I feel like the NFL.
The NFL doesn't care
my perception
about,
of them is that they don't
the
care.
NFL doesn't care about player safety on the reg, so.
No, right, yeah. So for this, I'm like, yeah, get back in that stadium.
Like, I'm also sure the
Right.
NBA doesn't want to, like, have to go, like, if football somehow manages to open up in, like, the fall or winter, whenever the fuck football actually opens up, I don't remember. I'm sure they don't want to have to compete with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you want to get your season done and over with. So, you're not competing with the NFL. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like the most sports thing I've enjoyed has been this Jordan documentary, which actually ends today, as of this recording. The last 2 episodes of the night. But for live sports, I don't know. As much as I love watching fights, and I've really actually been getting heavy back into the NBA these last couple of years. And like I said, I want people to be able to make money and all that. I just want them to be able to do it somewhat safely. But I don't know, man. This sports thing is just not. It's not hitting. It's not hitting like it used to. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel different in a few months, but it's just not. It's not hitting, man. It's a whole different feeling. Now I talked to Joey a little bit. Now I won't get into everything he said, but I'll just say in a roundabout way. I guess he's kind of feeling the same way in a way. Like this all is just. It feels just kind of strange. Like there are a lot of serious things going on, and sports is kind of not in the forefront, I think, of a lot of people's minds. Or I ain't say a lot of people, but I don't know. There are just other priorities and things to worry about. But I mean, I get it. At some point, life will have to go on. Like this pandemic isn't just gonna go away, so we'll have to find a way to just kind of maneuver with it while it's here until there's a vaccine or however that situation works. But
Who knows how pandemics end?
Yeah. Like we've never. It's weird, man. I've seen a lot in my lifetime, man. Like we didn't live through 9/11, SARS, and bird flu. The world was supposed to end like 4 different times. Like it's been a lot. Haven't seen anything like this. This is new territory, I think, for pretty much all of us. So no, it's just a really weird.
If only there was
space.
a similar situation where we could go back and study and be like, okay, these are all the things. But we don't. Yeah, we don't listen to common reason.
Yeah. Only if this wasn't the first time in history there was such an incident. But yeah,
I can't believe this incident taught us that germs exist.
Right. I'm mad. I'm still mad that I'm not gonna forget this. That it took this to remind people that like they needed to wash their hands. Just nasty. It's a whole nother thing. I didn't get into it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to get a temperature check. Like, is it just me who's not really clamoring for all the entertainment right now? Like, other stuff is on the mind, and not like I'm in like a bad, terrible space. All things considered, I think I've been pretty fortunate. Because I can still work. I still have income coming in. It's been an adjustment, but I'm not. I'm not struggling. I've been pretty fortunate, but just I don't know. The energy's just different. The energy's different, and sports is just not. I'm seeing posters and fight announcements, and I still listen to like sports podcasts and stuff, but it's all not hitting the same the way.
What do they even talk about? Like we're lucky enough that our dumb sport decided that it was going to come back before any other sport, and we still struggle to talk about things because. We just don't fucking care.
Well, a lot of people are doing the listing now.
Yeah,
which is fun. Well, I mean, and we're gonna do it next week, so
yeah.
a lot of people are doing the list thing. Shout out to the Technical Foul podcast. They've been doing not for like their whole episodes, but they've been doing sports cinema, where like for the first part of the episode they'll pick they put up polls for like sports movies, and then whoever wins they talk about it. So that's been going around too. So pandemic is testing the creators. We're seeing who can really get some content out in times where there's not a whole lot really happening. I'm proud of us. I think we've done a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
when things were happening, we still kept the ball rolling out here. But you know, we're getting out of the game soon. So best of luck to the rest of you.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun, man. Have fun.
I will laugh my ass off if the day after we finish recording our last podcast, they actually make Ngannou Jones.
Maybe that'll bring me out. I don't know. I think a Jones loss could bring me out of retirement. I think a Jones loss could.
So when Jones loses again.
Right? But it's like official. Like the judges actually believed it. Yeah, I might come back on here. That might be the third. So yeah, just to throw that out there. The last podcast episode will be recorded on the 24th and released on my birthday, the 27th. Fights that will bring, I'll say, the anti-cool and us out of retirement, should they ever happen. Tension versus Taco Room, if that ever happens. Try not to get my hopes up, but if it ever happens, yeah, I'll be on here. We'll be back. Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Hopefully we can get that. That happens. Be back. Been waiting for that one for a long time. And I guess, like I said, Tony and Khabib was on that list. It's kind of lost some steam for me now. So I'll put an asterisk next to that one. But if Jones loses, and it's like a real loss this time, like the judges agree and we're all on the same page, unlike we've been his last couple fights, but I ain't gonna get into that. Yeah, I'll probably be back on here. But like I said, man.
Wait. What about Fury AJ? Is that a fight we care enough about? Because I feel like we're both on the Tyson Fury probably makes AJ look silly bandwagon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if that'd be another one of those fights that I would just have to watch it, and if it makes me feel enough to talk about it, if it evokes some kind of emotion where I feel strongly to talk about it, I will. But I can't say.
Yeah, that's a solid bar.
Yeah. But I'll throw an asterisk on that one. Well, I gotta see how the fight turns out. If he makes him look silly, then I'm just saying. If it turns into a fight, might dust the mic.
Okay, so and just one, because you know it's true, and you know you're gonna, if it happens, you're gonna need an outlet for it. Mike Tyson, Shannon Briggs, because you know you're gonna.
I hope if that fight happens, I need another fight to happen that same weekend, because I don't want that to be the only thing I come back for. And all y'all other old guys calling out Tyson, y'all better chill out, man.
Evander Holyfield, I don't know.
James Toney.
Oof.
He came out, bro. Tyson gonna kill one of y'all. He is it's not gonna be pretty. I don't know. Tyson fight might bring. He might bring me up. That'd be a fun little like 20-30 minute just ramble. Us watching Tyson kill somebody at 50. Oh man, but that's gonna be pretty much it for today's episode, man. So like I said, man, we're gonna take a week off. We'll be back the week recording on the 24th. Episode will drop on my birthday on the 27th. That'll be our last episode. Our top 10 fights of all time, and we will be closing the doors of this podcast. But before we get out of here, some closing thoughts or parting shots and shout outs. Shout outs to Kevin Randleman, and rest in peace to Kevin Randleman. Made it to the UFC Hall of Fame. Pioneer Wing, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, Pioneer Wing. So shout outs to Kevin Randleman, man. Go watch him slam somebody on their head. How did Fedor live through that, bro? That was that was wild. But yeah, that's my shout out, man. Shout out to Kevin Randleman making it to the Hall of Fame.
I haven't watched any of it because I'm really lazy and I can't be bothered to watch things. But shout outs to the people behind the documentary The Last Dance. who have just
Hey,
killing it because
I'm killing it.
they have the
Yeah,
only
they're
thing
killing it.
going right now.
Right. It has been a must-see for Sunday nights. Honestly, it's the one thing for Sunday. Like I really look forward to every night to watching that. I'm actually gonna be kind of sad when it's over. I've been really enjoying it.
That ends tonight, right?
Yep. Last 2 episodes tonight.
All right. Well, shouts because I read something earlier this week about like how they had to how they fucking had to put the accelerator on to get this like ready in time. Like the final episode was still being edited earlier this week.
Yeah, it was. This wasn't. We weren't supposed to get this till like June. Yeah, they pushed it up real quick. But yeah,
they were still getting interviews with people when it was like friggin' just started or something like that. Like they had to hustle their asses off for this one. But props to them.
They did a great job though, man. They did a phenomenal job. Definitely. And guess the last thing forever shout out, man. Shout outs to all the workers out there, man. Grocery store people. All my essential personnel, man. The UPS people, everybody still out there on the front lines, man. Nurses, all that. Everybody still on the front line trying to hold this all together. Appreciate you guys out there.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Hopefully, it's kind of wild. Hopefully you can find some moments of peace during your day at some point. Kind of unwind. I know it's kind of crazy, but out there.
Yeah.
But nah, man.
I just want to. I don't know. If it's not a shout out or a shout or anything, but if you're like us and you follow, not just the fights, but like all the background shit that happens pretty closely. Keep your eye out on like some of these fighters who've been fighting the past couple weeks or the past week, 8 days, whatever. Just because Dana White came out and said he was happy that nobody got sick, and it's just like wait, 3 people got sick, and you had to cancel a whole fight because of it. Like these were 8 fight, like they had 3 cards in the span of a week. That's like what, say 10 fights, 20 fighters, like anywhere from like 60 to 70 fighters have been in Jacksonville over the past 8 days. Theoretically,
that's not including cornermen and other people.
Yeah, and if you bring 2 or 3 cornermen with you, that's like you're triple. You could be tripling that number, quadrupling that number, just keep your eyes out, because I don't know how closely people will follow up with, because like signs of coronavirus can be they're not apparent right away sometimes, a lot of time.
Yeah, it might take a little while before we see the.
And that might have because the UFC doesn't have a card next week, but they do have one on the 30th. I don't remember which one that is specifically. I think they only have like 4 fights scheduled for right now. And they don't even know where it's going to be. They're like, it might be in Las Vegas, it might be in Arizona. It depends. Yay. But like, just keep your eye out. Make sure like some of these fighters aren't sick. Just accountability. That's all I ask for. And the only way you get that is if you keep your eyes open.
There you go, man. That has been today's episode of the podcast. As always, you can give us a listen, man. SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Send questions to Dojo Talk Podcast at yahoo.com. Definitely send questions, man. If we're about to end, man, send some questions.
Yeah.
We're about to be out of here. This is your last chance. Send some questions. Dojo Talk Podcast at yahoo.com, or if you just want to hit either one of us up on any social media, see us on Twitter, Tumblr, wherever. Shoot us a question. We'll try to answer it on the last episode. Hit us up, social media, Dojo Talk Podcast, Facebook page, Instagram page. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei. And you can follow Anti-Cool on Twitter at GC Zeus. And as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.